You're listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of the M.T.V.B. podcast, the podcast that talks about my four favourite subjects, that's movies,
TV shows,
video games,
and board games. I'm your host, Anthony, as well as most people know me as the Ant-Man, and welcome. We're continuing our spooktacular season in October. Last week we talked about those Hellraiser movies. This week we're going to be carrying on with the H's and talking about the Hannibal Lecter movies.
Yes.
I'm joined around the table by the guys I love to talk about our Hannibal Lecter movies. Guys, introduce yourselves around the table, please.
Hello, I am Dave, aka pairs well with a nice steak and cider.
I'm just JK47.
John Whiff in the building.
John Whiff in the building. I'd love to have come up with something like that. That was good.
You had to.
That was good.
You had to.
That was good.
I have to now. It's a compulsion.
Yeah,
This is it. That's why we get him on the show.
I'm expecting it each time he's on it now.
So yeah, guys. Welcome back for Spooktacular again. Second week this is now. We're moving on from the Hellraisers to Hannibal Lecter movies. Do you like these movies at all?
Damn, yeah.
Yeah?
No, I hate them. No, of course not.
Of course I
love. No, of course I love them.
Good.
That was very good.
So before we start, obviously, if no one knows beforehand, every October the M.T.V.B. podcast does a Spooktacular season where we talk about a popular franchise. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the Anthony Hopkins versions of Hannibal Lecter. We might make a mention of the other stuff after this, and we will go with the release dates of these movies. So we're going to stick with Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and the Red Dragon. So, before we start, I want to ask you guys. Now, I brought this up in an episode back in season 1. How do you consider, or do you consider Hannibal Lecter as a horror icon? Because some people don't look at these movies as horror movies as such. Maybe like a thriller or, you know, deep, heavy drama, if you will. But there are some people out there that consider him a horror icon. How is it for your perspective?
I think he is.
Yeah.
It's like an episode we did before, is like what defines a thriller and what defines a horror. So it's first for me. First, it's a horror, but it's more psychological thriller horror, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I was saying to Dave earlier, I watched them, but I watched them in order. So I did Red Dragon, and then I did.
So you've done it
Hannibal. So I've done it as a when you watch it like that, it's like watching one big giant long movie. And every time I saw Anthony Hopkins on the screen, there was something like in his eyes, and you're like, he puts fucking chills up you, man. I tell you.
Especially that first one as well. Yeah. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I think he's a horror.
Yeah.
Character. Yeah, because he sort of falls more into the sort of slasher style killer. Yeah. So just without any, horror aspects. So there's no supernatural or anything like that. There's like you might get with sort of your Jasons or
your Freddy's, all that sort of stuff,
things like that. This is just horror, but in the real world. Yeah. So I view it as a horror because he is representative of the serial killer, the cold, calculated psychopath that you could see in the real world.
Yeah.
And I fully understand and can see where you're coming from because it's like a horror detective story at heart, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's almost like a crime film.
Yeah, that's a lot of people see it as a but I never really thought of him as a horror icon myself until I don't know if any of you ever remember these, but Todd McFarlane did like a toy series of horror, like you mentioned with Jason, all this sort of stuff, and they added Hannibal Lecter to it, and I'm like, when I thought about it, it actually is quite, horrific and serial killer based sort of thing. So what's the difference between that and Ghostface, for example? He doesn't have any powers. He's not supernatural. So why not have Hannibal Lecter in it as well?
And if you think about the iconic sort of images that go along with Silence of the Lambs. They're very horror themed. Like I was looking at they did like a triple collection of the films.
Yes,
and it's just got like the mask that he wears.
Yeah, yes, that's all.
That's it. Yes, and so you've got very strong horror imagery with that.
Just seeing that mask.
Yeah, just seeing the mask on its own because
there you go. That's Hannibal straight on, isn't it? Yeah.
And it goes with. There's so many different elements that are horror elements in it. Like you've got the gore in it, you've got the murder.
Yes, 100%.
Which we'll go into detail on later. But it's also cannibalism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is because first
definitely,
of all, that's what
I think,
he is, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, and that's definitely like a big horror topic. There was a lot of the I can't remember what they were called now. The straight to VHS,
the video nasties.
Video nasties, yeah. So I was reading a little article about video nasties recently.
Okay.
Because obviously you had things like... so these are basically films that were too gruesome to be shown...
In the cinema.
So they went straight to VHS back in the day. And that was it was like a little loophole that they could get around things. So you had things like... I think Last House on the Left was one.
Yeah.
Evil Dead...
Yes,
the original Evil Dead came out as a video nasty. But weirdly, if you look through the list of in Britain, the stuff that was classed as like a video nasty, so many of them are cannibal films, like Cannibal Holocaust and stuff like that.
Yes, of course.
So it's Hannibal sort of is following one of those great trends of the horror genre, cannibalism. So yeah, I would argue
actually got it to a theatre as well,
and yes, there's definitely thriller aspects, there's crime film aspects, things like that, but I think
it's a good blend of all three.
It's a good blend.
But what I liked about it was the fact that he wasn't your like typical horror person, if you know what I mean, because normally they've got either disfigured faces or they're shunned by society or something, whereas with this guy he's very well defined, we
will go into Hannibal as a character later. But
that's what I liked about it, the fact that they brought something new to it. I mean, Thomas Harris did a bloody good job writing that character, I think.
Yeah, so before we go into it, have any of you actually read any of the books at all?
Yeah.
I've only read one out of all of them, but we're not even going to talk about that one because we'll mention it later.
Yeah.
But Dave, have you read?
I haven't actually.
No.
Yeah. I do want to. It's on my list.
I read Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs.
So you've not read Hannibal?
No.
Right. Okay. Right. So let's start with.
I don't think I have anyway.
Let's start with the first one that started it all, really. Silence of the Lambs in 1991. This was the movie that gave both Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster the Oscars for their roles as Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter. What did you think of this? Is this your favourite of the three, or
without a doubt?
Is it your favourite?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I did like all three. For some strange reason, I think I found him a better Hannibal Lecter in Hannibal.
Okay.
Funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought.
See, we'll talk about it because I think he's slightly different compared to Silence in this.
He's kind of like Americanized his accent a little bit as well, and I didn't quite like that. But
I think we need to go to this in order where we come to it.
Yeah, so let's do Silence first. Yeah, of course.
But Silence of the Lambs, I think, is one of those standout films in a genre of cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's created its own presence within the genre. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're looking at the visuals of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you a little story, go down a little memory lane, right? So when I was a kid, there used to be a Burger King in Brighton.
Okay.
Right? Just near the clock tower.
Oh, I remember that one.
Do you know that one?
I remember it, yeah.
Do you remember what it's like inside? So you walk in and it's a very small, city.
Like funny tiles on the floor or something.
But then you go around to the left and there's like a cinema screen.
Oh, I don't remember that. I never went around that way.
And you had table restaurants, and it was always just showing something around. I think a lot of the time it was just they put music video, like M.T.V.B.
Please tell me they put signs on that.
No. But having said that, they had film posters around the wall, big, from the cinema.
Okay, it's pretty cool.
And one of those, on the way to the toilets, was always the Silence of the Lamb film poster.
Wow. Okay.
Which you probably can both imagine right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sort of greyed out image of the woman with the death's head moth covering her mouth.
Yeah.
So ever since a kid, I was seeing that and I was like, that looks scary or cool. I didn't even know what Silence of the Lambs is. Like,
no, same.
You don't know what Silence of the Lambs as a title is like, but it was still there. It's still pride of place, and even from a young age, I knew about it. So I would say that this is the best one.
Okay.
Because it introduced, like John said, it introduces us to that character.
Yes.
It was done so well, directed, acted by everyone, and the writing obviously was really good.
Yeah.
And it tells a really compelling story. And it's done a bit differently because it's not, you would expect Clarice to be hunting Hannibal if it was traditional. But,
I was going to get into this saying,
Oh, well, I'll let you.
No, carry on.
So all I'm saying is I think everything comes together to make a piece of, cinema history.
Definitely.
So that's why, for me, not that I'm saying I don't like the other ones.
No.
Because I do like the other ones, but this one particularly stands out for me.
Yeah.
And we'll go into it a little bit more in detail, particular bits. I'll let someone else talk.
No, I like you kind of brought it up just now. I like how this story, like you said, even from judging from the poster, you think this is about Clarice going after Hannibal, but it's not. It's a complete different story about her going after
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill, exactly. Played by Kevin Levine.
Yeah.
Who was also Rusty now in Joyride.
Ted Levine, wasn't it?
Ted Levine, beg your pardon. Ted Levine.
Excuse me.
Did you ever see
I think he was in the remake of...
Roadkill, beg your pardon. It's called Roadkill.
I think he was in the remake of Wrong Turn as well.
Quite
the
possibly.
father.
Quite possibly.
Who gets killed. Again, more cannibals.
It's like Rusty Dale. I'd take off a bra. Which, again, that character alone is interesting as well. Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff he does is, he's
not in it very often.
No, but he's quite an iconic killer as well as Hannibal is.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers Goodbye Horses. Everyone remembers Put the Lotion in the Basket, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But it's weird how do I put this? It's mind-boggling how you... Oh, it's really weird. Mindhunter sort of uses how they use a killer to catch a killer.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't expect. When I first watched this, I wasn't expecting this film at all like that.
I find that very compelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a theme that I've mentioned before that I quite like, which is the deal with the devil as a concept.
Exactly.
So just to set, if you haven't watched the film, or just to refresh your memory. So right at the beginning, these women are turning up dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the FBI is hunting a serial killer. And Clarice Starling, who's a young FBI agent,
up and coming,
ends up going to speak with the imprisoned Hannibal Lecter, to try and get information because they believe he might know or have an idea of who Buffalo
Wasn't he
Bill
an
might be.
Like ex-student or patient? That's it. Ex-patient of his.
Psychologist. So she has to go and seek the help of this highly intelligent, like John mentioned, cultured, sophisticated, completely amoral and ruthless killer.
You just would not...
Who is a serial killer.
You look at him and you would not think twice about whether he's a normal person or not.
And he holds all the power. Because even though he's locked up in a cell, which we'll go into in a little bit more detail, because I like all the way that was done.
That was well
he holds all the power. He doesn't have to tell her anything. And this is the theme that's touched again in things like Hannibal. And Red Dragon. Well, Red Dragon a bit more.
Yes. Red Dragon is very similar, isn't it?
Style,
but it's with a different... It's not with a female. It's with a male this time, isn't it?
So, it's that deal with the devil, because she has to give up things. He dictates, and he's like, okay, he has this back... It's a lot of back and forth, and it's like, okay, enough about this. Now we talk about you, Clarice.
It's quid pro quo, wasn't it?
Quid pro quo.
That's it. You tell me, I tell you.
So he is holding all the cards, and she needs to work and give him kind of what he wants.
To get what she wants.
To get what she wants, to hunt the killer down. So that's an interesting concept, and I do like that.
I liked it, yeah.
Using a killer to catch another killer.
Use a killer to catch a killer, yeah.
But yeah, so like I say, this film, Silence of the Lamb, there's so many good visual, stylistic choices and things like that. Like the cell that they've got him in, you know, if anyone's seen the film, they're going to be able to picture it immediately, aren't they?
Yeah, because
so it's almost a dungeon, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, because it's meant to be a mental one, but the room he's in is, like you said,
psychiatrist hospital.
The first thing you think of is padded walls and straitjackets. None of that is in this room at all. Is there?
Well, it gives the impression that he's in like a basement, secure, secure wing.
But do you remember all the other? There's like 4 or 5 other cells beside him, and they've all got bars. Except for his. His has got 3-inch thick glass.
So even from there, you know that he's like
he's the more dangerous.
Predator.
He's the predator, isn't he? He's the A man.
But
absolutely.
So Clarice gets down there, doesn't she? And she has to walk through down this. And she gets she gets shot by Miggs. Should we just
she gets Spider-Man.
She gets Spider-Man. Yeah, but there's
but then but that's gratuitously gross. So he throws.
I love his humour as well. Hannibal Lecter's.
Well, no, because
he says, "Well, what did he say to you as you walk down?" He's like,
and he knows what she said.
I can smell your cunt.
I can smell your cunt.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's the way he delivers it. He goes, "I see. I myself cannot."
Yes, he's very matter of fact.
But then it gives you a hint at Hannibal's character because he just it's sort of expanded on in the later films,
but he doesn't. He doesn't like that.
He does not like. He does not like crudeness.
Yes,
no,
and rude. He dislikes rude. So again, later on, we see that a bit more.
Yes,
so
especially when you find out that
he's very upper class, isn't he?
That guy's killed himself.
He just is, in a way, quite cultured, and he doesn't like. He likes fine things. He doesn't like rude, because you see that with Ray Liotta's character in
Hannibal.
Hannibal a lot. So that we'll go on to that anyway. So she obviously meets him, and then you've got there's some really good shots of him standing in his cell at the back, isn't it?
Yes,
he's standing up ready to
literally the first shot of him is just there, and the presence of it is just.
And Anthony Hopkins, do you want to talk about it, because he does such a good
he's an
as
absolute,
Hannibal.
I think he's one of those people who can read a script and he's built that character, and then he becomes that character. So in all the 3 films, for me, it was his eyes. His eyes stood out in all the films. And
there's a couple of shots where he looks straight at the camera as well.
Because you look at him, like
the way he does it.
Like we said, you look at him and he could be wearing a suit and whatever, like he's in Hannibal. He was quite well. You'd never think for one second he's this predator kind of person.
Well,
but you look in the eyes and you're like, they're chilling.
Something behind those eyes.
What he's managed to capture for me in that role is that Hannibal is always
in control,
but he's always playing you.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see what
There's
I mean?
always an angle to it, isn't there?
So he can read you. When he's looking like that,
it's like a game of chess. He's ahead of you all the time, isn't he?
But he's reading Clarice. He knows her history as a country, country bumpkin, or with a mother and a daddy who are like working class, and stuff like that, and
that's where the story for the lambs comes into place.
Did you hear the lambs screaming? And, Anyway, so he's reading. Because he's very learned. He's got that ability to, and he was a psychologist. He can read and know what buttons to push to get what he wants.
Absolutely,
which is very threatening.
Well, this is what happens when you have a professional become a killer, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
you can work both ways at it, can't you? Really,
because by the time he's in the cell in Silence of the Lambs, he's killed 13 people that they know of.
Yeah.
So he's not like he ain't just killed a couple of people. He's like you say. He's well established himself, and like I say, he plays people like he's playing a game of chess. He's several moves ahead. He's anticipating things, And like you say, he'll sit in the cell or he'll stand in the cell and he don't move. He's in control of everybody that comes in there. It's like the guy that said that thing to Clarice. Apparently he convinced him by talking to him to kill himself. Like, what power has this guy got? Really?
How does someone someone make them swallow their own tongue out of that? It's crazy.
It's the ability that he is to see inside your mind and see what your, what are your triggers, what buttons to push, what angles
pick up on your fears just by talking to you, sort of thing, and then he can either play on them. Like he did, with Clarice, he was trying to clarify things with her, in a sense, he was like helping her, because that's how he finds out about the lambs screaming.
Well, he's got, and it's expanded on again. We'll go into it a bit later, but he sort of develops a very strange, intense connection with her, doesn't he?
I was literally about to ask you guys with this. So throughout the whole Silence of the Lambs movie, they only talk to one another 3 times in the movie. Yeah. How do you feel as the actors' chemistry between the two of them work? Did it work well for you? Because literally all look in the next one as well. There are only so many minutes where she is with Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, but
we always see them as like this is the duo of the film. Yeah, but they're barely with one another in the entire movie. Full stop. But it's literally about the other subject.
I read that she never met him.
What in person?
Yeah. She would have
to because
the scenes with her. I read she was sitting in front. There was someone else inside that she was talking to. She never actually spoke to Anthony Hopkins. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I remember reading that and thinking that's kind of weird.
Well, if that is the case, there is a shot where he talks to her and you see his reflection on the screen. So if they didn't do that, if they didn't meet, that's a very, very clever shot they've done with that. But how did you feel as Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster? Do you think they were a good duo?
Yeah, definitely.
As the movie progressed,
But it's that thing that he obviously Hannibal doesn't have anything to entertain himself with anymore. He's kind of restricted. But he's seen this person that he sort of has this weird lust to control or to do whatever with, and so the rest of it is him manipulating her through things, isn't it? And
you talking about her, him has like he doesn't like the whole rudeness of people like that. You kind of look back at it. There's a few times where he tries to make a move on Clarice as well. It's a bit.
Well, if you go into...
Is he mind manipulating her, or does he actually want to like?
If you go into the end of Hannibal, we'll talk about that.
Exactly.
Anyway, do you want to... Should we carry on with
So later on in the movie, a very important public person's daughter gets kidnapped, doesn't it?
Right, yeah. Senator entry.
That Buffalo Bill manages to nab and throws it down his basement pit, isn't it?
He's got, but
What was the dog's name?
Precious.
But
the women have been washing up, haven't they?
Yes.
And there's a really good shot where they're at an autopsy with Clarice, isn't it? And they find
the
chrysalis in the mouth.
Well done, I forgot about that.
Death's head moth. Yeah.
So she has to take it to a museum of natural history or something like that.
And she knows a couple of guys that run it as well.
Identifies it as the death's head moth.
Did you know? In the poster, like you were saying, with the face and the death's head moth on the mouth, if you actually look closely at the skull that is on the moth, because that's what's on a death's head moth.
Isn't it ladies bent over?
Naked women.
Naked women, yeah.
Well, that's kind of a nice little touch, because that's the old ink blot thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which they actually reenacted for the Descent poster. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that poster or not. That was a really good one.
Well,
yes, I did know that, but I wasn't sure if it was on the official poster or if they didn't do it till the other.
I think it was probably
Blu-ray
the original one.
That's
it might not be on it there now, but yeah.
What was the other? What was the thing with the moth? Was it Buffalo Bill just had a thing for them in the end, or
it was?
I think he only did it to the one.
No. He was. That's the one they found him.
Yeah,
but he was breeding moths. Wasn't
that's right. Yeah,
in his house. But the whole thing with that was transformation.
Oh, of course, yes. Because we haven't established why he's doing this to women.
For him, it holds special meaning, and that's one of his signature.
Yes,
because he sees himself as a moth, as a chrysalis, and he's going to become
the moth,
this beautiful person.
Well, the deadly moth,
which is why he's doing what he's doing with the women that he takes.
So the women that, as well as having the chrysalis in their mouth, they've got sections of skin cut off them, flayed, which is why he gets the name Buffalo Bill, which I think is a Western, link to Western skinning
animals and stuff.
Animals and stuff like that, because he treats them, like animals that
because he looks after the women. He don't mean.
Well, they say in the film that he attacks bigger women, captures them, but then he thins them down so the skin stretches, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
because he needs the skin in a certain.
But he gets them to moisturise and stuff. I wouldn't say he takes care of them.
Well,
he chucks them in a pit.
Well, yeah, I know. But he doesn't
place the lotion on the basket.
Yeah.
Put the lotion in the fucking basket.
Or he gets the hose again.
Gets the hose again.
Yeah.
So the lotion basket.
I got you dark, mister.
Yeah.
So he
So he's kidnapped.
Well, if we go to the kidnapping, basically the senator's daughter is at the
senator's daughter. That's it.
Is at the shops or something, and she sees a man struggling to get some goods in. He's got a broken arm. Or
she's
something.
at home, isn't she? She's trying to go in. Yeah.
Did you know? I
love how you singled that. Well done, sir.
I forgot. Otherwise, I'd have done it.
Is actually how Ted Bundy, the real serial killer, used to lure women. I'm pretty sure it's Ted Bundy anyway, because he feigned injury to like get women to help him or get in his car.
Oh, that's clever then, yeah.
So that's how, I think that's a link back to that.
Yeah.
So, he gets, Buffalo Bill gets the senator's daughter.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows it's the senator's daughter.
No,
he's just looking for
a
particular style of woman.
Yeah.
And you see, again, there's some lovely shots of like his house, because you've got all the fluttering of moths and things.
That's right, yeah.
And you hear like the sewing machine, don't you?
Yeah. That's it.
Because he's got all these dressmakers' dolls and things around him, and you're like, what is happening here?
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
where's this going?
And then you see the pit in his basement, and he's got the woman down there.
Yeah.
Because she's like crying.
Let me out, mister.
I love the part when she freaks out when she sees the nail in the wall. Because she sees that other people have been there trying to get out.
Scratching, trying to climb up the bare side. It's terrifying, isn't
then
it?
she freaks out then, doesn't she? Oh, God, yeah.
So, Christ, what happens next? Oh, then they find out that Hannibal knew who Buffalo was. They ship him over to talk to the senator.
He used to be one of the.
He used to be one of his patients.
Yeah. Wasn't he? Yeah, they find that out, and then the senator decides
because the geezer records his things with Clarice.
Chilton or whatever.
Dr. Chilton.
Dr. Chilton, that's it. Yeah. So he tells the senator that Hannibal actually knew Buffalo Bill. He might know his identity.
Yeah. He's been trying to profit, hasn't he? Off of
he wants to write a book about him or something.
He wants to write his become famous.
He wants to do his thesis on him and become this famous person.
Giving him nothing.
No,
exactly.
He just doesn't want.
And he gets annoyed when because he starts having a go at Clarice, doesn't he? You come here every time, but I run this facility and all this sort of thing. And she's going, well, if you've got a problem with it, you need to speak to like my boss type of thing, and he don't like that.
Yeah.
Yes. So he bugs the room, doesn't he?
Yeah. So he's been secretly recording all
their conversations. Yeah.
And then Hannibal ends up. And that's where you get the scene of
him finds out,
being wheeled, strapped to the trolley, don't you?
With the famous mask,
with the famous mask on.
Which was quite funny because obviously he realised that, again, like you say, he's trying to play. He's watching the situation to see what he can get out of it, because he's been told that whatever deal it was that Clarice had offered him,
he was going to get
fake.
moved to a federal facility, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah,
like with where you had a window.
Yeah,
yes,
and stuff like
that. What I wanted to do,
was it Anthrax Island, because he had this little joke with her afterwards, didn't he? And she said, yes, but you'll have a certain part of the island to yourself. You'll be able to walk on the beach once a week, sort of thing, and under supervision. And it turns out that that deal was a fake, as old Clarice's boss basically faked it to try and get the story out of him.
Yeah,
and then Chilton finds that out and then uses that against him. And then brings Hannibal to this, like a hangar or something, isn't it? At an airport or wherever.
Yeah, and it's got the cube in it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got like a clear prison cube in it.
Oh, that's it, yes.
And it's got he's got like guards.
Yeah.
Watching him the whole time,
that was clever what he did to that.
Well, do you want to explain?
Well, no, we get one more. We get one more gathering with him and Clarice before that, don't we?
Because Hannibal gives her the wrong name, doesn't he? He describes the person correctly, but he gives them the wrong name. So they're looking for this different person. And that's his way of thinking, right, well, you think I've given you something. I want something back. And then when they realise they haven't got the right person,
one more thing, Senator. So, love your suit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah.
Who would have thought that mask would be like the iconic thing for him? He literally wears it one
and that's
scene.
all it is.
That's all it is.
There's nothing else. He doesn't have it's not like Michael Myers or whatever that has like an outfit and a mask and a knife in his hand.
But Michael wears it all the time. Like Hannibal literally wears it for a minute or two.
Yeah. But it's because he's so dangerous and he wants to eat people. It taps into that. So you need to literally muzzle him like a dangerous dog.
Yeah.
But like you said, he gets in that little cage now and has one more meeting with Clarice. And this is when
Chilton doesn't like it.
But this is when they quid pro quo again with the whole story with the lambs and whatnot.
Yeah.
And gets one last goodbye with Clarice and does the little finger touch, doesn't he?
Because she sneaked in and Chilton finds out.
That's it, yeah.
And she's trying to get something out of him because she knows literally in a few minutes he's going to find out I'm here and he's going to come and stop me.
Yeah.
And she keeps looking at her watch. And then when Chilton does find her and he comes to get her, Hannibal realises that, you know what, I can actually get something from this. So he gives her back
the files, doesn't he?
And in the files
is his address.
Plus what he says to her, he knows that she'll be able to work it out. Yeah. And like you say, then there's that finger touch. He rubs his finger down her finger sort of thing, and you go, oh, okay. And Chilton, of course, doesn't see any of this.
Is important because it's he's getting that's his thrill, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's him finally touching her. It's like a violation for her as well.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to have to do anything with it. The fact that he can touch her.
Again, like you say, using a killer to catch a killer, and she doesn't like it, but realises that is the only way we're going to catch this guy. So I kind of have to deal with him and have to put up with what he says and does. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And then isn't it a pen that he's stolen?
He takes Chilton's pen once.
But he's on the loop.
And he takes the little thing.
But he's on the toilet, isn't he? When the two police officers come in.
What's the last meal he gets?
Is it steak or something? Meatloaf? Something like that.
Lamb chops.
Lamb chops. Oh, crikey. Okay.
Medium rare lamb chops.
Yeah. And he has that like piece of metal or whatever that he secreted it out of his mouth and into his hand, and he uses that to open the handcuffs. And that's just that to me. What happens next is like is iconic.
You don't see that coming.
No,
I honestly didn't. No, I never saw it coming.
I don't think I did either. But that's where you realise where they've implicated all along how dangerous he is. You don't quite realise until that scene.
It's all that implied threat.
That's what I mean. It's all implied. He's this very dangerous man, and you don't want to get too close to him, and da.
But this is where you find out why.
Oh my God! Literally in the blink of an eye, he's got this guy.
They don't show, do they? He can't. Who is it that comes back in to see him?
Well, no, you don't see what he does, but you see what he does you see what he does to one of the cops.
Who is it that comes in afterwards?
So the two cops that come into the cage to give him his food,
he takes one of their guns at the guy whose face he takes one of their guns and he fires a couple of shots. And then that alarms all the cops.
All the police are downstairs.
They're then calling, shots fired, 7th floor, or whatever it was.
So they're all armed, aren't they? Yeah. And then they get into the lift.
Yeah.
They go up.
That's right.
And they find just one person almost crucified and split open.
How did he have the time to do that? Seriously.
I know,
No,
it's a good shot, though. The way that pans out and it's
hanging in there.
It's like a work of art in a way, even how gruesome it is and stuff.
Which is, again, links into his sort of psychosis because he is a connoisseur of art, isn't he? And opera and fine music, fine meals, fine art, things like that. So, that kind of links in with his personality.
Yeah.
He's incredibly violent, but to him, there's some artistry.
Yeah.
And then they're like, where's the other one, aren't they? They're like...
But he's laying on the floor.
Well, he's on the... Then they see the blood drip, don't they? From the
he's on the floor next to the guy crucified.
And they think that he's the other police officer who's been injured. And they're like, saying, "We got an officer down. We got to get me an ambulance." And of course, when they take him out, then they realise, "Hang on a minute."
Who's the one on the lift then?
That's the real cop, the other cop. And then they start thinking, "Hang on a minute."
So there's a man with a bloody face who's still breathing, isn't there?
Yeah.
His face has been all chopped up.
They think is the other cop.
Which they think is the other cop.
Plot twist later, we'll find out in a minute. But
so they whisk him away in an ambulance, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. The one's dead. They're trying to save the other cop's life.
Yeah.
And they think Hannibal's on top of the lift, like you mentioned. Yeah. So they try and shoot his leg, and nothing happens.
And he doesn't move, does he?
But I love that shot when obviously he's up way in the ambulance, but they pull open the
doors
and the door on the lift, and the body falls, and then the next minute you just see this cop's face come up and just rips it off.
Yeah.
And Hannibal's underneath it. And I'm like, what the hell?
That was clever.
So
Hannibal tore the face.
That few minutes.
Such a great escape plan. It's like, it's unreal.
He changed. He put the guard's uniform on, didn't he?
That's right, yeah.
And then swapped clothes and then put the guy's face on.
Yeah.
Cut it off and then wore it.
Literally wore it.
As like a
How no one even noticed that? I've got no idea, but hey.
Yeah. Well, because it's so bloodied up, isn't it? And
it
looks like it's.
But then he does. If you actually look back, he pretends he's having a seizure as well.
Yeah.
So that's why he gets him out quicker as well.
They're just worried about trying to keep him alive, I suppose, aren't they?
They're going, oh my God, we got a live one here. Yeah.
And then
we don't see Hannibal until the very, very end. Yeah. But the rest of it now is literally about Clarice finding Buffalo Bill now, isn't it?
So it turns out Buffalo Bill's been, which links into the moss, he's been trying to make a woman's suit out of flesh, hasn't he? So that he can be a woman.
Yeah. Which comes back to
which is the transition. Yeah, there we go.
Transition of him to
be honest though, would you fuck him?
would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
Yeah.
I'd fuck me hard.
Goodbye, hard. And meanwhile, the senator's daughter's tricked the dog, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Precious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's captured the dog, hasn't she? Yeah.
Because she's showing a bit of pluck, so she's not going to just sit there and die. She coaxes the dog into the bucket or something.
She holds the dog to ransom, doesn't she?
And I've got your dog, mister.
Yeah.
And
I think he's got a broken leg for sure. We're going to need a vet.
And he's Buffalo Bill's kicking off, and then
he's getting angry.
Clarice turns up, doesn't she?
Well, if you remember, they try and do a similar thing that they've done with Hannibal. They tried to make a twist out of that because her boss is looking for him as well. Like they think they've got the real address.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that he's going to get Buffalo Bill.
Well, they do. Not.
When she gets to the door, they break down the door, and then it goes to Clarice answering the door, and it's like, holy shit, she's actually there, and they're not there. Yeah. I kind of like how they did that as well.
That was quite clever, because like you say, he goes to the door, and you're thinking, oh shit, any minute now.
But as the movie, you were like, all right, you've already done one little twist. It's like, they ain't going to do it again. They'll be fine. They're going to go catch him now. It's fine. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah. She's on her own. Then.
And she's all on her own. I love this scenario. How
and he turns all the lights off, doesn't he?
Yeah, because I like how she spots it's him. Like, because they have a normal conversation. He invites her inside. Yeah. He's like, let me go get you that number. And then when she sees the moths in the background, that's when there's like the penny drops.
There's a little bit of Red Dragon there, I found. We're going to come back to Red Dragon.
We'll come back to Red Dragon anyway.
But she twigs.
Yes.
And he switches all the lights off, doesn't he?
That's right,
He's got his like night vision.
Oh, no, he goes in the basement first, then does the lights off, we forgot about that, night vision goggles, because he does that earlier with one of the victims, doesn't he?
The senator's daughter, that's how he's watching her.
No, not with the senator's daughter, is it?
No, he is, He's watching her from across the street with the night vision
I thought that's the one we got him in the truck.
Yeah, that's the senator's daughter.
Oh,
it's the senator's daughter. Yeah. I use that as well. Okay.
Because she's gone...
Oh, yes, sorry. He's waiting
outside where she lives. So when she pulls up and she's walking to the door, this is when he's got the broken hand and he's trying to get the sofa in the back of the van. And she comes to help him and ends up...
But I love this scene where... Obviously, like Dave said, all the lights have gone out. We can't see shit.
No.
So the whole rest of this scene now is just for Buffalo Bill sees.
Yeah. And all you hear
through his glasses
is Jodie Foster heavy breathing because she's
like trying to wander around in the dark.
To fuck.
And the amount of times he could have just topped her.
Oh yeah.
And he just tries to stand her and touch her. And then he does the stupid thing and clicks the gun.
Yeah.
And then she finds it and she, Marco Polo, pow.
Yeah.
But it's quite an intense scene. I remember watching it for the first time thinking, oh shit, he's got to do it, or he's he's
and he could have, like you say, he could have at any point. He'd thought he'd play with her for a little bit.
It's hubris, isn't it? So it's
he had the advantage, didn't he? That's why he sort of did it, isn't
it?
But he thinks he's got the upper hand, and he just wants to get his kicks again, isn't it? Yeah. But she gets him. Pow!
She does. Gets him, saves the senator's daughter. And then becomes a full-blown FBI agent.
Right, yeah.
And then what happens?
She gets a phone call?
Yeah.
She's at
the Am I right?
She's at the ceremony where they're getting their badges, aren't they? And she gets a phone call.
Oh yes, that's when he comes back.
Yeah. Well, we see Hannibal's fled the country, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So where does it say where he's gone to?
Bimini, I think it was. Some Pacific island, wasn't it?
Okay.
And I just love the way he goes, I've got to go. I'm having an old friend for dinner.
And who comes out the plane?
Chilton. And I just went, yes! I was so happy when I saw who it was. I was like, God, he's got to get him.
Nice little moment between the two of them before she never sees him again.
Yeah. Don't worry.
At least for another 10 years anyway.
Was it? Don't worry. I'm not going to come chasing you or something. He says to her, and he's like, "You can relax. I've got no I've got no interest in you," sort of thing. In that respect, type of thing. But yeah, no, that was quite.
But it's good because it's kind of a bittersweet ending because you've caught one monster,
and let another monster out,
and another one's come out throughout the whole of it. So you're kind of
a worse one.
It's a bit of a no-score draw, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a worse one between the two of them?
Oh well, I would say so. Because,
Hannibal's probably a bit worse. But
because I mean,
he's a bit more of he's a bit more adept as we see him.
And he's very. And how many would he kill before you realise, in a sense?
13.
Well, yeah, but do you know what I mean? Because he doesn't look anything like.
No, but
I suppose you can stereotype what from the film. But he's such a well-educated, well-spoken man. You would never think in a million years that he would be the person that would be doing those kinds of crimes.
Well, he can pass.
Oh yeah, he can,
as a cultured, respectable person of
society.
I mean, whereas Buffalo Bill, I'd argue, couldn't.
Oh no. He'd get caught eventually. He would make some mistakes and get. Obviously, he did, but only if it hadn't been for Hannibal Lecter helping them, they may well have caught him eventually anyway. Whereas with Hannibal Lecter was caught. Well, we go back to Red Dragon. We'll say why he got caught, but yeah.
But yeah, what a movie!
It is great.
It's a great movie. You guys did a couple, so I will. Did you know?
Go on then.
You probably do know this, but if you don't, go back and watch it. Anthony Hopkins never blinks once in that movie.
Oh wow!
Really?
Yep.
So you're not gonna say that
there's
about
only
the
one.
eyes?
There's one shot where he closes his eyes, where he's listening to music after he's killed the copper.
Right, yeah.
But for the entire movie, never blinks once. Crazy, eh?
Well, next time I watch it, I'll look for that.
You're gonna look for it now, aren't you?
Right, hang on.
He's gonna look it up on Google.
No.
Did you know?
Did you know?
Google the fourth member of the M.T.V.B.
Right, I've told you about the movie poster.
Yes.
Several naked bodies, right? The next one is the first meeting with Clarice and Hannibal. Mm-hmm. There's a clue to where he ends up at the end of the film, or in the next film, like Hannibal, on the wall.
Okay.
And she goes in, and it's the one of the very first things he says to her. Because she says, "Oh, I like your artwork." She goes, "Oh yeah, this is the Duomo in Florence." And he fucking goes to, and he does go to Florence in the second film. So
that's pretty cool.
And then what else? There's another one.
Did you see this in the cinema, John?
Yes.
When it came out. Because you were like 50 by 1981, weren't you?
You can't listen and read at the same time.
Should we move on?
Yeah, go on.
Right, so that was the first one, technically, and then we go to the sequel in 2001, which is Ridley Scott's Hannibal. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure when the book was out. Was the book out a few years beforehand, or
what's that?
Hannibal,
Thomas Harris's book.
Yeah, was it out at the same time as Silence of the Lambs, or was it out
before that?
It was out before Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
How can it be? It's the sequel to Silence of the Lambs.
What is
the book
of
Hannibal? Oh,
sorry, I don't know. I'm talking about Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs. They came first.
Right.
Red Dragon was the first book. Silence of the Lambs was the second.
Yeah. So was Hannibal not long after that then, or
I don't know. I didn't read it. So.
Either way, they've been trying to make a movie for this for years.
Yeah.
We now have Anthony Hopkins returning as his iconic role, of course. Unfortunately, no Jodie Foster this time as Clarice Starling. We have the fuck she called Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore. Yeah.
Julianne Moore. The reason I heard Jodie didn't want to do it because she didn't like the ending to the book. And from what I know, the film doesn't have the same ending as the book anyway.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't read it. So.
Again, I've not read the book.
What's that? What, Hannibal?
Hannibal, yeah. We're on to Hannibal now, John. I know you keep Googling, but we're on to Hannibal now.
Right, well, he wrote Red Dragon in 81, and he wrote Silence of the Lambs in 88, and he wrote Hannibal in 1999.
So 2 years prior before the movie. So that's why they've taken so long between movies. Because this is literally 10 years gap between the two.
Hannibal Rising was 2006.
Yeah.
When he wrote that one.
Yeah. And then the movie was 2007.
Yeah.
But I have to say, and a lot of people are going to shoot me in the foot for this, but this is my favourite out of the three.
What, Hannibal?
Hannibal. I really friggin' love Hannibal. And I think I like the story more about it. I mean, obviously in the first one we've got the use a killer to catch a killer, but I like the idea of a survived victim going after Hannibal, like trying to get revenge, like a revenge story sort of thing. I'm big into revenge stories. That's why I kind of like this one more. But it's also, like you said, like we thought it was a film about Hannibal. It's technically, that's the main story. But we all think it's about Clarice trying to capture Hannibal again, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you got? What is your opinion on this before we go into it? Do you like the movie, or the moments? Are there moments in the movie you like?
I loved all three of them. So
I do like this one. Yeah. I think it's just down to personal taste on what you prefer.
Yeah,
like you say, the revenge story. This has got some very good story in it as well.
Again, you see the dangerousness of him in it as well.
I think there's just so much into this in this movie that you don't realise. Because
I think it gives Hannibal as a character a bit more time to flourish. And grow from what you've seen.
Because he's in his element, isn't he?
To the lamb, because now he's free.
Yeah.
He's on the lamb.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Yep.
But
so he's in his element, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's this refined, cultured gentleman, and he's in a refined and cultured city. He's in Florence.
Yeah, so, this is the movie where he's not a side character. This is full-blown Hannibal now, isn't it?
So, for people who haven't seen it, Hannibal takes place in time in the future. He's been on the run for, 10 years?
Yeah.
He set himself up in the Italian city of Florence.
Which I believe you've been to, Dave?
Sorry, yes. I'm a very well-travelled gentleman.
Cultured man yourself.
I'm a cultured man myself. Yes, I have been to Florence. I have been...
You've been to the Duomo.
Yeah, I've been to the Duomo. I've also been to the bridge that you see him on at one point, called the Ponte Vecchio.
Ponte Vecchio, yeah.
Which is the bridge with all like the buildings on, all the shops and things like that. Very old bridge. Yeah. So I literally, nice. but I was quite young when I went there. Well, I was like a teen. I hadn't seen Hannibal. It wasn't even out by that.
It wasn't out at the time. No.
So when I watched it back recently, I was like, I've been there. Yeah, that's really. Anyway, so Hannibal is now in Florence, which is one of the birthplaces of like
the Renaissance.
The Renaissance, which for any American listeners out there is not what you think Renaissance means. It's not like wizards and drinking beer and
nothing to do with Harry Potter
with ye olde accents. We're talking about the Renaissance painters and the Great Leap in sort of religious art and music and things like that. So very cultured, lots of history, lots of art, lots of sculpture, lots of music and things like that. And that is where Hannibal has chosen to set himself up. So that tells us about him, because
he's trying to get a curator's job, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's been working at in a library.
Yeah, bibliothèque or whatever they call it in Italian. But yeah, it's like I said, basically it's a great works.
He's been curating in a great Italian historical library with access to all of the historical documents, and he wants to get a permanent role as like a professor, effectively. And so at the beginning, he's trying
it's like a board, isn't it?
He's trying to convince the board to hire him.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about, we should have an Italian for like to look after great Italian works and things like that.
But then you realise, then you find out why he's going for the job.
I think he just wants that.
No, because do not hear what the policeman says to him when he comes to speak to him.
What?
He said to him, because obviously being a policeman, he's suspicious, and he says to him, "Isn't it funny how your predecessor disappeared?"
Well, no, I think that's just him clearing the way.
Well, that's what I mean. I reckon Hannibal's got rid of him.
Yeah, it's entirely implied that he's got rid of him.
Yeah,
because he just wants that job.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He doesn't care. So he just removed.
Exactly. Yeah, he took
away
the obstacle. Yeah, exactly.
He
took away the obstacle.
The obstacle in the way. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And at the beginning, he's having
which he does quite a bit in this movie.
Oh yeah, he does, because it just shows him as his threat. He doesn't care. There's no conscious at all. So he will just kill people in his way.
I mean,
rude people.
Yeah, I mean, this is
So at the beginning, you see him. Oh, go on, Karen.
No. I was only going to say, I think I like how he's more of a cold-blooded killer in this one than it was in the first one.
Because you don't get to see it.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
But we get to see it a little bit more in this one. And I was going to ask your opinion on this later, but sorry, carry on, Dave. Carry on.
No, so at the beginning, you see him and he's holding a banquet for musicians.
The symphony,
The symphony musicians.
Yeah.
And they're eating, and I love that
at
scene.
the very beginning, isn't it?
Because it's showing this fine dining that he's always like. And there's a line one of the musicians says, which is like, I wonder, what is it? And he said, if I told you what was in it, you wouldn't want to eat it. I.e., it's like implying it's brains or liver or tongue or something of an animal, but he's done it so artistically.
Is that Hannibal? I mean, it's Red Dragon.
No, that's Hannibal. Because he's out on the land, isn't it?
No, I think that's Red Dragon.
That's Red Dragon, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting confused.
That's Red Dragon. The first time we see him, he's doing that auction hall thing, isn't it? And the copper goes to see him for the Italian copper. Yeah,
he's in Hannibal. Yeah, he's at the meeting with all the board, trying to convince them that I am the right man for the job, type of thing.
Yeah, that's it.
And then when they say, right, well, basically, leave it with us, we'll do our things and we'll get back to you, type of thing. And the copper comes and says to him, isn't it convenient that your predecessor disappeared? And then that then implies, did Hannibal get... Which, of course, we know. He obviously did.
But I don't think he's massively suspicious at that point.
No, because he's
not. No, not yet anyway. No. But the actual very beginning of the film is how we see Clarice progress as an FBI agent. Yes. She goes after that drug lord, doesn't she?
Does. Yeah, it's a bit of a... and it's just difficult because you're when I started watching it, I was like, is this supposed to be Clarice? Because she's doing like a bit of a bad country accent.
Yeah, again, this is the transition from...
Such a shame that Jodie Foster...
Because she has that accent. Jodie has that accent in the first one, but this is what happens when you change actors.
This is the problem. It's a little bit of a disconnect, because I was like, I thought it was a different character, and then it's not really addressed.
This was one of the big issues is why people didn't like this one as much. It's
the same. They changed her boss as well. I mean, Harvey Keitel was the boss in Red Dragon. Or in was it in
that was in Red Dragon again. But that's not her boss.
I would have thought he would keep him, But again, they changed the actor. So,
but Ray Liotta's her boss in this one.
Yeah.
But again, this is 10-year gap between the two, so a lot of people are going to change and stuff. I
suppose.
So she basically goes on a raid, doesn't she? To like try and arrest some gang members, and it's like really bad coordination between.
It goes down badly, doesn't it?
Beat cops and
they think they're in charge, and she says, "Well, no."
She's like, "No, don't. I'm calling the operation off," and then like ends up.
No, stay on target.
They fuck it up basically. She gets to blame for it.
Evelda, get out of the car.
Yeah,
and then she's carrying a child, isn't she?
Yeah, that's why they tried to boy, because he's carrying a child.
And then she shoots her, and there's a line about how she's got the most kills.
Yeah,
that's right. She's got the Guinness World Records.
Most kills of a female agent or something.
But I can't remember why Hannibal comes back on the case.
Because he sees the news.
He's following her, isn't he?
She's been in trouble because they're trying to pin all the blame for that on her, and she's getting loads of negative press, isn't she?
Yeah, and he's obviously following her career and thought, right, do you know what? Maybe
doesn't he send her a letter or something?
It looks like he sent a letter, but that letter was actually... We'll find out later.
Yes, that's right.
So there's a letter that's sent, and she sees a wax seal on it, and she's like, "Uh-oh, the only person who can send me a letter with a wax seal on it
is going to be
Hannibal,
Mr. Taste." Yeah,
and it's not Hannibal that sent it, is it?
But anyway, it's to appear as Hannibal, and because of the news.
Yes.
So obviously, her career looks like it's going to be. She's going to have all that blame pinned on her. She's going to take a fall from grace, things like that. She's got some scumbag boss who's like a real cretin of a man.
Yeah, he is.
Played by Ray Liotta. Who basically wants to pin it on her. And
he's can the Dr. Chilton
progress his career and stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the old boys' club. It feels like. Isn't it?
He's like the Dr. Chilton from.
Wasn't it to do that? He tried it on with her, and she said no. So he's kind of like backfiring it back on her now. It's like, if you say no to me, I'm going to make your life a living hell.
But there's a scent on the letter.
Yeah.
And she has the idea to take it to like a
perfumery,
a perfume expert.
Yeah,
who is played by ding 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 ding.
From Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Your favourite impression.
which goes back to like Silence of the Lambs when Clarice got them to check the other thing, got that group of people. So there's these little similarities, you know. That was
she's just
clever.
very resourceful to find things out, but he smells it and he's like, I'm getting hints of this and ambergris. And she's like, what's that? And it's like, it's a product of Wales.
Whale puke.
Did you know? They say it's a product of Wales. It's whale vomit.
Whale vomit.
Oh, okay.
And it's used as a base in a lot of the most expensive perfumes.
Which is only in certain countries you can get it, isn't it?
Like
it can wash up on the shore, but it can be worth hundreds of thousands.
I was going to say, if you find a lump of yellowish gunge solidified on a beach,
fairly solid looking.
Fucking put it in your car boot, folks, because if it is ambergris and you've been lucky, your quid's in. That stuff is fucking rare.
It's like winning the lottery.
Because you can't get it. You can't like go and farm a whale.
To a whale and go puke.
Because it's like what he said. He's quite right in what he said. You can't produce it.
No, you can't produce it. So it's
naturally made.
I think it is made, but when a whale swallows something that it can't digest, and it like the stomach acids all sort of forms like a gallstone or something around it, and then it eventually vomits it all up, and then it floats, and that's how it's found. Just washed up on a beach. But anyway, it leads.
Hang on, before you do that, I completely forgot that is not the opening to the movie.
What is
Clarice? It's actually Mason Verger.
Mason Verger, played by
Gary Oldman.
Yes, one of my favourite actors.
So Mason Verger is basically the victim of Hannibal Lecter that survived. The only one that has survived.
He was the fourth victim.
And he talks to one of the guys that was looking after Hannibal 10 years ago, and
the nurse, isn't it?
And shows the mask. Yeah, and he's like,
he's stolen the mask, and so
he stole all of it, didn't he, to make money out of it?
Books and letters and everything. Yeah.
He thinks he's just selling it to a weird collector, but
yeah.
Is that where you get the really good shot of? No, that's later. I'll talk about it in a sec. I'm pretty sure that's later. But anyway, so going back to where we were.
Yes, sorry.
The scent. He says there's only a few places you'll find exquisite perfumes like this, and it's been made to order. The scents have been curated. It's not a well-known one. It's something.
She says, "Can you send me a list?" And he says,
he says you'll only find it in like maybe Paris, London, or
Rome,
Italy.
Amsterdam, Italy. Yeah.
He doesn't say Florence.
No, he says Italy.
He says Rome.
He does,
so then she goes and basically contacts all those countries, and on like Interpol style thing, and asks them if they've got any CCTV footage of perfume places that might have used ambergris and things like that. And then this is where Commander or the officer Patsy,
Francisco Patsy,
Francisco Patsy.
He wonders why such weird requests have been happened, so he looks into it himself. Doesn't he?
They've just been asked to send a thing. And
CCTV footage of people buying,
and he sees Hannibal though, doesn't he? But he goes, "Well, hang about, I know that guy."
Yeah, how does he know his face? Isn't it number 10 on the
most wanted list? Yeah, so that's what he does. He goes back home and looks at his.
It says contact this number, and when he contacts the number, it says there's a $3 million reward.
So he looks in. So again, this is another side story to this movie. How so this guy's now going to try and take charge, whilst we've still got Clarice. But still trying to find.
Well, he's sabotaging, isn't it, for greed again?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So he he stops the video from being sent originally, doesn't he? And he takes it home.
Yeah.
Because then Clarice has to ring up again. So I still haven't had any video from you. And he's like, "Oh, I'll resend it to you."
Resend it, yeah.
Because while that's happening, Francisco de Pazzi is trying to like contact this number for the reward rather than give it to the FBI.
Because what's happened is, if you look on the website when he checks up the 10 most wanted, there's a little thing down the bottom. It says reward 150,000, but contact this number. And I think what Mason Verger's done is he's hijacked that number, because when you ring that number,
it goes to him.
All of a sudden he's being told there's a $3 million reward,
and it's like, I'm not going to talk to you about getting rewards, trying to stay around the...
Yeah.
He said, but if you want to talk about doing stuff like that, I know a very good Swiss lawyer.
Oh, yes.
So then he then rings up a lawyer, and the lawyer's like, there's a $3 million,
we need a fingerprint.
It's 100,000 straight off.
And
we
need
a fingerprint
on confirmation of you finding a fingerprint. And I think it's hinted that so Commander or Francisco de Pazzi is like from a long running family in Florence,
which is what Hannibal.
But he's also got
An expensive wife.
He's got an expensive wife who wants to buy
She's
things.
like 20 years younger than him.
He's trying to keep her, so he's got money pressures.
Yeah.
And in his because he goes to, he's interacted with Hannibal, hasn't he? And he goes to his house to collect the belongings of the person who's missing. That's the pretense, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
So he goes to Hannibal's sort of really posh apartment in the thing to pick up some boxes of the old curator's stuff. But he's trying to get a fingerprint, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he sees... Because
he's got the finger.
But then Hannibal clocks him.
Earlier on, he's watched Hannibal in a restaurant, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he's got the fingerprint already by that stage, hasn't he?
No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
Because he doesn't get the bracelet and he gives the bracelet.
No, that's later.
No, you're jumping to get the
thing.
You're jumping the gun.
Yeah, so basically,
we've jumped the gun too much, but we'll come back in a sec.
He's now trailing Hannibal. He sees him in a restaurant and he watches him with a napkin.
A napkin, you don't touch the glass.
He doesn't hold the glass. He holds the napkin around the glass.
That's right.
And then he wipes his prints off of it.
Wipes everything off.
So then he's like, damn it, I've got to find a way. So he goes to Hannibal's house and he's looking around for something that might have a thing on, doesn't he?
And Hannibal, I think he clocks it.
Hannibal does clock it,
yeah.
Because then he starts talking about,
he puts gloves on to move the stuff.
And he's like, Patsy, that wouldn't be from the famous Florentine.
That's right.
Ancestors.
Yeah.
Patsy. He's like, oh yes, I found something that you might like to see about your ancestor, who was hung and disemboweled from the window of the famous square. And he's like, why would I want to see my ancestor, in that situation, being murdered, or killed? And then he goes away unsuccessful, doesn't he? And
we've kind of gone forward a bit. We have to backtrack a little bit because we've mentioned a few times Mason Berger, but between what we've been speaking to, Clarice actually goes to see him, and when he explains why or how he was nearly murdered, basically, where what's his name? Lecter spiked him.
You have a very good shot where he's sensitive to light, isn't he? And he's lying in his bed in his mansion.
Because Clarice
goes to see him,
Clarice goes to see him, and he's in the dark, and you can't really see him. And then he goes, he turns the light on, and you see his horrible,
let me help, bro.
Yeah, you see this horrible, grotesque face, scarred face. So that's a really
and you
nice
can't
shot.
recognise it being Gary. Apart from the voice, you can't recognise him at all.
And that's a really good shot. That
It
is.
is.
But how savage was his thing? How he drugs him, doesn't he? And he makes him cut his face off with
feed it to the dogs,
and he feeds his flesh to the dogs.
So he was a patient. He was a patient of Hannibal's. And he looked up to him like a mentor, like a father figure, or like someone who was wise and he's a deviant, isn't he? He's like a bit of a drug using sort of out for pleasure and things like that.
Yeah, one of those.
And while he's drugged up, Hannibal suggests that
try peeling off your face.
Try peeling off your face and feeding it to the dogs.
And let's feed it to the dogs.
So basically, he's put this big bounty up because he wants to get Hannibal first, doesn't he? Before Clarice.
Yeah.
So then,
Sorry, back to you now.
I know she's just trying to get, and the guy, she rings up the guy in the police station, and he's. Oh, I sent it out last night, and then he sends another one, doesn't he?
Yeah, because Patsy's taken the first one, hasn't he?
And
when she sees,
doesn't realise that she's been sent another tape, because now she's ringing him, and he's like,
well, no, she sees the tape, and she
rings him back
in the perfume shop, and she's like, oh my god, this is 100% Hannibal, and I finally found him after all these years, and she's ringing him, Patsy, trying to basically say, look out, this guy is really dangerous,
because she saw that he's logged in several times.
And she's
like, you've been logging in you've been looking at the computer at your home. I know you're trying to get the
he was trying to
yourself.
pretend that he just
money.
didn't get sent, or got mislaid or something.
That pesky Patsy,
yeah. And then she's like, no, you need to. You're trying this for the money. You need to
I suggest you don't do it. Yeah.
Like, you really don't want to do this, and. He's like, no, I'm going to go ahead with this. And
fuck you.
He's still trying to get the fingerprint, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he catches a pickpocket, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he says, right, you can either go to prison or do this for me. He's bought a really shiny metallic bracelet,
thick metallic bangle,
which he says wear. And when you go to pickpocket this guy, he's so quick and aware that he will grab you before you can get your hand into his pocket.
Yeah.
And he says to him, "I'm good. He's never going to feel it." He says, "Trust me."
Yeah. And so then you have like a little stalking scene where Hannibal's walking through the boulevards and
But again, you don't see.
It's very well shot. When he walks, how his coat waves in the wind and stuff. He doesn't
give away anything.
So good, man.
Because he sees this guy's tailing him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he sees this guy's tailing him.
He sees him,
Eventually, yeah.
So this guy's trying to get ahead of him, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then eventually he just goes to try and bump into it and grab his thing. And then you
he feels winded.
Goes in slow mo.
He looks like he's winded, and he ends up in a fountain, near a fountain, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's fucked. I think
Patsy
he's like hit an artery or something because the blood is just pouring out of him.
So what happened? He says, he tried to get me in the balls.
He tried to punch me in the balls,
but he missed. And then you see he's hit the femoral artery.
Femoral artery. That's it. Yeah.
So this is Hannibal. Is like everywhere. I say, he is.
With his knowledge of,
he's a trained surgeon and psychologist and all this stuff. He knows exactly.
He knows the human body,
and he hits. There's a line in one of the first series of Game of Thrones, isn't there? Everyone wears loads of armor to protect their neck and things like that.
Oh yes.
But they forget to protect the inside of their thigh because that vein there. Once you cut that,
there's no going back.
You ain't going to survive.
You literally got minutes.
So he bleeds out, but he says, "I got it. I got the fingerprint, didn't he?"
That's right. Yeah.
So he's got the fingerprint. He sends that to.
And on what does he wash his hands on?
In the fountain, isn't it?
Well, what's the fountain of?
I don't know.
It's a pig, isn't it?
It's a boar, isn't it? Pig's head.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, pig's head. Yeah.
So which is foreshadowing.
Exactly.
So then he sends it to the Mason, and Mason gets it confirmed it is Hannibal's print. So then everything's on, and he calls up his
minions,
Italian minions who've been training
these pigs to eat.
Well, not pigs, they're like
boars,
aren't
they?
With big tusks and 36 teeth on
to
inside.
Eat people.
So they play music of a person screaming to
and it triggers them, doesn't it?
To attack and eat the person. So that's literally he's gonna feed Hannibal to the boars, and that's quite gruesome, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's it.
Which they do which they allude to in Snatch. Guy Ritchie's film.
Pigs will eat anything.
Yes. Which Bricktop says.
Bricktop says, you can feed pigs anything. You got to pull out all the teeth and whatever on the human.
So now they know it's Hannibal. They need to capture him now, don't they?
So basically the minions meet up with Patsy.
All he has to do is point him out to him.
All he has to do is point him out to him, and they're going to abduct him.
Yeah.
So he goes to a presentation that's being shown by Hannibal in the library to a load of academics and whatever, and he sits down in there and Hannibal sees him, doesn't he?
That's right.
And Hannibal's talking about paintings and depictions of Judas, obviously of biblical fame, who betrayed Jesus.
He's always on the money.
This is what I mean. This is it's all foreshadowing. So I absolutely love this scene because it's all linked to what happens in the future. So Judas betrayed Jesus for, I think it was
for money.
12 pieces of silver or 30
pieces of silver.
30 pieces of silver anyway. He betrayed Jesus to the Romans, which led to him being crucified.
Yeah.
So Judas the betrayer. And he's showing all these depictions of Judas in classical art and
he's got
works and things.
His guts hanging
he was hung
out,
he was hung from a tree and had his guts opened out. And then he's depicted in, I think, Italian works in hell from hanging from a tree and things like that. I think it might be Dante's Inferno.
That's right. I was going to say
it usually is Dante's Inferno because that's another important cultural piece that pops up in everything. And this is all foreshadowing because Hannibal is basically saying all this because he knows Patsy is his Judas.
Yes,
this is all lining up with that. So after everyone clears out, he goes to speak to him, doesn't he?
Yes, that's right. They're having a little one-to-one.
They're having a little one-to-one conveation, and it's so threatening because you know Hannibal knows, and you're like,
And if you ever notice, the music builds up, especially before he delivers that line. It's like and then he goes, I'm having serious thoughts to eating your wife.
Yeah, and then before that he shows a picture on the screen, doesn't it? He's like, this is what I wanted to show you about your ancestor.
This was your ancestor, wasn't it?
So and so Patsy, who was hung from this very window for everyone to see with his disemboweled Judas.
Yes.
And it's his ancestor, and then he's like, I'm considering eating your wife.
That's it.
And he chloroforms him, then he ties him up to the trolley, doesn't it?
That's right.
It's like for lifting heavy stuff up the stairs,
that's right.
like a lectern or something. And that is linking to how you see him in Silence of the Lambs strapped to the trolley, isn't it?
When he's wheeled up to the cinema.
When he's wheeled up, and he's wheeling him up, and he's like, if you tell me what you want, I might not pay a visit to your wife and all that stuff, isn't it? So he's like, there are Masons.
And blink once for yes, twice for no.
Masons, people are waiting for me, aren't they? All that. And then you're like, oh, God, this is going to be bad.
Did you tell anyone else? Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then the phone rings, doesn't it? Patsy's phone rings. Yeah,
and he takes it out of his pocket. And who's on the other line?
Why does he answer it, though? I don't get why he still answers
it.
Just
because he knows that this is either going to be Mason.
It might be Mason or something. Yeah, you're right.
It'll be someone that he can basically mess with and say, fuck you, I've got,
And even though,
And it's Clarice, isn't it?
The 10-year gap, and he's like the famous...
she's like, you like, Patsy, you've got to listen to me. I've found your number. I've got your number now. I got it from records or whatever.
Yeah, don't go after him. All that sort of stuff.
Is Clarice?
Is this Clarice? Well, hello, Clarice.
That's so good. And she's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He's dead. Yeah, shit.
And then so you caught me at a bad time.
Yeah.
See you around.
And then he literally guts Patsy.
Oh, mate. Do you know what? When that happened, I never expected it to happen because he obviously does the straight cut, but you don't see it. He literally just puts the knife down. Yeah. So I just thought it was part of the ropes that was going to lead to him hanging.
Oh, right. Okay.
I didn't realise he was actually going to disembowel him like his ancestors. Yeah. So when the body drops and you see the shot of the ground, and then all of a sudden the guts just drop, I was like, whoa!
There's all those tourists as well.
Yeah.
In the night, it's a good shot as well.
A fantastic shot. Yeah. The shot after that, when he kills one of the minions, is brilliant as well. It's literally straight after he goes.
The minions are waiting outside, and they see
him. They go inside, don't they?
Well, they see Patsy hanging, don't they? Yeah. They're like, oh shit! So they get their guns out, and they go for him, don't they?
Yeah. So one of them goes into that big hall that you see him beforehand, and the shot before that, you see Hannibal walking in that hall. The camera pans over to the left, so he's out of shot now, and you see the other. The minion bloke come into frame, and there's obviously typical horror movie. It pans back, and Hannibal's gone.
Yeah.
So next minute, the guy turns around, and there's that awesome shot where you see Hannibal, and he's like, "Hello," and the minion turns around, looks at him, and he says, "Like, good evening," but the reflection of the knife is in his face as he does it, and then does the swipe. It's again right on the artery under the neck as well. Yeah. It's so good, man. I just love that whole scene itself. It's just so good. And then he does the whole wiping of his face like he did in the first one as well, and he's got blood on his face and stuff. Yeah. And then he does that little wave to the camera, doesn't he? Yeah. And Mason goes, "Is that a wave goodbye?" Yeah. Or hello.
Oh, wicked.
And then after that, Hannibal comes back home, doesn't he?
Yes.
He comes back to America, doesn't he?
Well, he's going for Mason now, isn't he?
Yes. But obviously sort of sidetracking back to Clarice as well, isn't he? Well, starts mind gaming her, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't there a scene where he's on the phone with her and he tells her to come to this place and starts talking to her on the phone and stuff?
He's in a shopping centre or something, isn't he?
Yeah,
and she's trying to listen on like cues about where he might be, isn't she? She's trying to hunt him down.
Yeah, because he gives her directions.
At one point, he's on a merry-go-round, and she's I can hear the merry-go-round, and then she's talking with her back to it, looking around, and he comes around on one of the horses with the hat on and just touches her hair, doesn't he?
Literally scrapes her hair. But the scene before that is I'm such a big fan of Ridley. I just love how he pans his shots. That shot where it's the half his face, but the other half is the reflection.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Are you talking to me? Are you listening to me, Agent Starling?" Just how menacing that look is, and it's literally just one half his face and a reflection. How effective that shot is, and how creepy it sort of gives him as well.
But this is all his hinting at his weird relationship with Starling, this infatuation that he has with her, isn't it?
Yeah,
again, he's tormenting her, but. And he's come back for her kind of thing, and he just wants to touch her. And again, it is sort of clarified a little bit later in the film.
Because he's like, are you sure you don't want to meet up, Starling? We could have some fun. Yeah. And, so it's like, there is something about him that wants to be with Starling, isn't
Yeah,
it?
if you go, like I say at the end of this film, it is clarified.
So obviously he makes his way. He's had his little fun games with Clarice and makes his way out, doesn't he?
The one time he's not one step ahead.
Exactly, yeah. The one time, and then obviously the minions, the rest of the minions capture Mason's minions.
They taser him, don't they?
That's it, he tasers, yeah.
She chuck him in the back of the van, and she tries to stop it, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's it.
Jumps out of the way of it as they try to run her over.
I can't remember how she finds his location in the end, but...
Well, she knows he's in the area, and then she sees the car.
Oh, she gets the... Yes, you're right.
She sees the car. She tries to shoot the car, doesn't she?
And she gets the license plate instead, doesn't she?
Yeah, she gets the light. Well, she's trying to stop it. It tries to run her down. She jumps over the bonnet of a parked car, doesn't she, to escape it, and then she gets the license plate.
Yeah. And then obviously we get to...
Well, she knows also that Mason is off there.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer. So she just needs to find where he is at, really.
So they take
Hannibal to Mason.
He's been buying all that stuff, not as a sick fan, but to put him back in it, hasn't he? He has him strapped to a trolley again.
That's it.
Puts the mask on him.
Not just yet, because he does the beat where he says, what I'm going to do to you, we're going to start with your feet. The pigs will eat your feet.
He talks about how many teeth the boars have, doesn't he?
Oh, that's it, yes.
2 overgrown canine tusks or something. So many molars for grinding and
they'll start with your feet, and then 8 hours later they'll work up to your legs and work up to the main.
We're going to keep you alive,
Yeah. How brutal is that for a fucking death?
This is more like blood machine.
Yeah. Well, this is his you want to he wants him to suffer the worst possible death and whatever. And the whole way through it, Hannibal does not give a fuck.
And this is weird because whose side at the time are you?
Weirdly on
picking?
Hannibal,
exactly.
And this is because
funny how you switch.
Because you get why Mason's doing this.
Yeah.
But then you sort of, by the time of this movie, you are essentially siding with Hannibal now, even though he's the killer, not Mason, essentially. And that's why I love these twists and turns of this one. It's just so great.
Uncaring Hannibal is in that.
Yeah.
He is not feeling
he doesn't give a fuck, even though he's like...
He's going to be eaten by boars. He doesn't care. He says something to him.
He says a line. He's like, I bet you wish the dogs ate the rest of me or something. He goes, no, Mason, I like you just the way you are.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah. Literally about to be killed. And then...
Dinnerate.
Yeah. Well, then Clarice busts in, doesn't she? After
Clarice finds him, So we get to the point, like you say, they put him like a crucifix, don't they? Put the iconic mask on, don't they? And get the pigs out, don't they?
They start playing the screaming, don't they? To get the pigs all riled up.
Clarice comes to save him, doesn't?
And she's in the pit with him, isn't she? And there's she's trying to arrest the 2 goons.
Yeah, she shoots out. She shoots one of the minions, doesn't she?
Well, they try to kill her, and then she kills them 2, doesn't it? And
she handcuffs one to the other, so they can't escape anywhere.
And then Hannibal's like, one of them's still alive, but having been shot, isn't he? And then Hannibal's like, there was another one up in the loft.
No, behind me.
Yeah. And then she shoots him as well, doesn't she?
But she gets shot at the same time, doesn't she? Yeah.
And then the pigs bust through, but she's undone one of his arm straps, so Hannibal's able to
hold her and pick her up before any blood traces goes on the floor.
So he lifts her up, and then this is where it's quite clever, because the guy who's handcuffed on the floor starts screaming, doesn't he?
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
So all the pigs and the boars go for him because they've been trained to go for the screaming sound. And Hannibal is just standing in amongst them, the saviour at this weird moment.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Carrying
the killer is the saviour.
Yeah, killing Clarice, so he's got even more power in a way because he's saved her life.
Yeah.
And there's a nice shot of him walking through all the...
Not just yet, because Mason gets his comeuppance, doesn't he?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So basically, there's a guy who's his carers called Cordell. He never wanted to be involved in this, so,
he's a doctor, isn't he?
Mason sees him escaping and goes, Cordell, get the gun and fucking shoot him. Yeah. And he's like, no, I don't want no part of this. And then obviously Hannibal does his little talks him out and goes, throw him in, blame it on me, I don't care. You can always send to me.
He's like, you could push him in.
That's it. And Cordell's like, do you know what? You know what? I could do that. So he sets his little wheelchair in motion and sends him, Cordell!
He gets tipped in and eaten, doesn't he?
Oh, mate. That shot when you see the boar's face. It's an animatronic how they did it, but when you see the tusks on this thing, and this thing is going to rip his fucking face off. And there's a quick shot of it how he does it, but Ridley doesn't like to show it too much, so he shakes the camera at the same time. But then we get the iconic shot like you just said, Dave, when Hannibal's walking out but carrying her. It's such a good
like a savior
shot how it's done as well. It's like in a dark tunnel with the white background, isn't it? I'll never forget that.
And you're like thinking, oh shit, he's got her now.
I remember when this movie came out, every advert or trailer had that shot in it. No matter how many times you watched an advert on a TV show, there was a Hannibal trailer and it would always have that shot at the very end. It's like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome. So good. We also, so now we go from one iconic scene to another now, don't we? Straight off the bat. In less than 20 minutes.
So it goes to Summer House of Ray Liotta's character, doesn't it?
So this is the boss, the douchebag boss
that tried to fuck out
Clarice,
proposition Clarice, and then fuck her career over as well.
So basically, she wakes up all drugged up because she's been healed.
Yeah, she's in a nice dress though, isn't she?
Very nice dress. Her bullet wound's healed, but she's on a lot of morphine, so she's very dizzy.
Hannibal
isn't she?
sewed it up, didn't he?
Yeah. He did,
so he's kind of used his medical knowledge to look after her, keep her alive, sew up her bullet wound.
And she's just up in a random bedroom and comes downstairs, doesn't she?
And she's the whole time she's trying to get up enough strength to like knife him or something, isn't she?
Just walk down the stairs. She's got a major case of head rush at the moment. She's so drugged up.
And
I love
the FBI guy sitting at the table, isn't he?
This scene is so good.
What's he say to her? Like country fried pussy or something?
Washington's full of country corn pussy or something
country
like that.
Corn pussy, yeah.
But no, just this scene. I love how this is done with the massive dinner table.
And Hannibal's like, naughty, let's not be rude and things like that. So he's still trying to like...
I love it. Some of the lines he says to him is like, if you can't be nice, you have to sit at the kiddie's table.
Yes, it's so good, yeah. And you know something's wrong as well, isn't it?
But how he's making all this gourmet food at the same time.
You're like, oh shit, this is bad, isn't it?
And then it's like, something's going to happen. And I never ever forget this. I saw this in the cinema.
This is just
this scene is the best ever, man. And this is like the full extent of what this man is capable of. Yeah. Go on, Dave. Go on, take it away.
Well, he takes the hat off him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And
he's wearing a baseball cap, isn't he?
And he's got like a red line going right round his
forehead.
Ray
Liotta's character,
Oh yeah, there's another bit. We've missed out a very seemingly inconsequential scene where Hannibal randomly takes a lab coat, walks into a hospital, and steals some tools.
Oh yeah, that's way over.
He locks it ages ago, so he's basically picked up some medical tools.
We know now why.
So he's used the saw to like completely cut his skull,
cut the top of his skull off,
the top of his skull off. And then he literally lifts the top of his scalp and skull off, and Ray's character is still talking. The boss is still talking.
He's like lobotomized him, isn't he?
Well, no, he's like this part of the brain deals with like personality and you know.
That's why he's done things.
He's like, funny thing, the brain is doesn't feel any pain.
Yeah, this section of the brain is where it it feels no pain or something.
Well, no, the whole brain doesn't have any nerves.
Yeah. Oh right, okay.
So. Again, weird.
Oh no, this is the part where he said, "Oh, this is the part where it stores the memory or something or whatever."
And personality and things like that. But the brain doesn't feel pain, so you can once you've taken the skull off like that, you can prod someone's brain with them conscious, and they won't feel any pain from that because there's no nerves in the brain. All the nerves go to the brain, but they don't. There's not one that deals with the brain. So. Yeah, but then obviously he literally starts cutting
Clarice
out.
Is freaking out, isn't she?
And who wouldn't fucking be? Yeah. Seriously? So
he cuts a bit of the brain off.
He's cutting out sections of the brain and like cooking it up.
Cooking it right in front of him.
Yeah. And he feeds it to him.
Yeah. He's like, that smells good.
Yeah, that smells really good. He feeds him his own fucking brain.
There are so many scenes, so many bits in that scene, where the dummy for Ray Liotta is so realistic. I think there's literally 2 shots where it's just Ray Liotta as the actor, and they digitize obviously their piece in. But the rest of it is like when he gets so you know later on in that scene where he's got a chunk of his head missing, and then he starts getting too drugged up, and he's like, that's a dummy. That whole thing is just a dummy there, and it's so good. I remember watching the making of for this scene 8 years ago, but. Yeah, I mean, to feed yourself your own brain is that's crazy.
So evil.
But the thing is, right, the thing that's wrong about this scene, when he's cooking it actually does look quite nice. I wouldn't mind them giving it a go, to be honest. Yeah. That's what I think is so wrong. But again, the way Ridley shoots and how the food looks nice and gourmet with the herbs, the spices, the garlic and the olive oil and stuff is just like, oh, fucking hell. But I love Clarice's reaction when he eats it.
But it's just meat.
And she just starts gagging. She's like, it's really good. Yeah. It's... I never understand why people hate this movie. It's such a good scene. It's brilliant. Yeah. And obviously he's like, oh no, we forgot when Clarice wakes up, she's called the police, hasn't she? So Hannibal is constantly looking at the clock, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he knows he's only got so many minutes left.
He knows she's called him. Yeah.
And this is what I loved about going back to what I was saying with the time on. So when these two actually meet up, there's always a clock. There's always a ticking clock. There's never just together and do a scene together, whatever it is. It's like even when he was mind-boggling her earlier on in that scene, again, they're not together very long. He literally goes there, says hello, whatever, and fucks her and buggers off. Yeah. And again, he saved her life. He's cooked her dinner. He knows he's got less than 5 minutes to be with her, and he's going to go again.
But yeah, I mean, somewhere, I can't remember quite where it is. I think it might be Mason or someone's talking about it, but this is, in this end of this film, it's when it's kind of clarified that Hannibal is almost in love with her. Or he's in his own way, it's not love like we would understand. No. It's like an infatuation with her. Yeah. So he's somebody. I can't remember who.
He sees something in her that he's like drawn to.
Yeah,
he's
drawn I can't remember who says it, but it's either they say I'm not quite sure, but he either wants to he either wants to sleep with her, kill her, or eat her.
Or eat her.
Yeah.
Or in which order, I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's got this weird infatuation with her. But he is kind of in a weird love with her.
Yes. Yeah, we get hints of that, don't we?
And that's why he's brought her to this fucking... He's effectively on a dinner date with her, isn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah.
She's dressed up nice. Yeah. He's cooked her a nice meal.
You shouldn't have some wine, not with the morphine and all.
Yeah. And he's always got something funny
to say as well. It's brilliant. But I love how after he's fed half his brains to Ray Liotta and whatnot, he's made some for himself and he sends him back in.
Well, no, he says something crude. He chucks a tea towel over his head.
Throws it over his head.
Like, enough from you now.
But Clarice has still got it in her to catch this guy. She grabs a knife or something, whatever, and goes after him. And then obviously he retaliates and grabs her and locks her in a fridge, doesn't she?
Well, he's got her up against the fridge and she's got handcuffs, hasn't she?
But he doesn't know that, does he?
No, he doesn't know that. Yeah, so she even at this point, she cuffs herself.
Not just yet. Oh, she cuffs herself. Sorry, yes.
She cuffs herself to Hannibal, doesn't she?
But not just yet, because he kisses her.
Yeah.
And then that's where she's, got the click and you hear the handcuffs gone to him. Now that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like...
Because he knows he's in a time limit. He's going to get caught if nothing happens.
Coming,
yeah. So again, it's another time when he got caught off guard.
Yeah.
It's a variable because he didn't allow for.
But he's trying to get what he wants.
When he gets to kiss her.
Yeah.
But do you think she wanted to kiss him, or think that's a forceful kiss on that part?
It's a forceful kiss, and she's using it as an opportunity to get him, to cuff him. Because
she's trying to get him to lower his guard, wasn't she?
That's right. Yeah. So now it's an option. He gets a meat cleaver, doesn't he? And he's like, which hand am I going to?
He starts talking to her, and he's like, "This is going to really hurt."
So above
or below the wrist.
Below the wrist.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh shit!"
And then we just see him slam, but we don't see whose hand he's cut off.
No.
You see her scream, don't you?
Yeah.
But essentially, he's escaped. The cops are here, and they just see Clarice looking into a lake. Yeah. Who are you? I'm Clarice Starling, FBI.
I think it's implied that she thinks he's in the boat, and then it drifts around and it's empty.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
And he's again slipped.
Once again, slipped away.
Slipped away, and you notice, or I noticed straight away, she's like got both her hands, and you're like, oh. Yeah, that was not expected.
Exactly.
So, I go back, he still loves her and doesn't want to hurt her in a way. So I don't think I don't know. It's just.
I reckon he's broke the handcuffs with the cleaver.
No.
No, he cuts his own hand off.
He cuts his own hand off.
Yeah.
Because the last, or it's one of the last scenes.
It's literally the last scene. He's on a plane back to wherever.
And he's got his arm in a sling with missing
I didn't see the end of it. I haven't seen it in a long time. But
and the little kid's like, what have you got there?
There's a little kid sitting off, and he's like, oh, what's that? That looks interesting.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter's got like a packed lunch, hasn't he?
He's made his own gourmet lunch.
He's got caviar, grapes, brie, all that sort of stuff, and he's got a little tub of brains in there. And Ray Liotta's brains
like, I don't think you'd like this.
The kid's like, that looks good.
What's that? And he's like, this is caviar. And
this?
And he's like, aren't you the he says something like, aren't you the inquisitive little fellow or something? And then the kid's like, oh, can I have some? And he's like, I don't think you'd like it.
But he does feed it to him.
And then at the end, there's a really horrible, because he feeds part of the brain, which is presumably the boss, FBI boss, to the kid. And that's fucking evil, isn't it?
A nice little fade to black on Hannibal's eye. And that's the end of the character, essentially. And that's just, in your opinion, what did happen to him? Do you think they ever got, Do you ever think Clarice finds him, or he just carries on his days without being caught?
I suppose I like to leave it open because then there's the chance they could go back to it, and
But there was never a book after.
No,
Hannibal was there.
But he did write them, but they didn't do films.
All right.
Oh, okay. But anyway, there's that opening left, isn't there, to explore?
Yes. Yeah.
So you could have another Hannibal, particularly at the moment when they like to go back and take well-known franchises and try and revive or make new ones.
Yeah.
I like to just think, well, I won't think too much about what happens in the future because there might be the chance.
Nice to leave it open.
Yeah, it's open. It's, those two have still got this weird infatuation that hasn't ended. It hasn't been resolved. There's still the chance for that to...
This is it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, like I said, I love that. This is my favourite out of the three. I remember seeing this in cinema a few times. I remember the first time I saw it, going back to that scene where Patsy's mobile phone rings... And she's like talking to him, and she's like, hello, Inspector Patsy. And that first part when Hannibal goes, "Is this Clarice?" This whole cinema that I sat and went, "Ooh," like that. Like they've been waiting 10 years to hear that line. Yeah. Just was phenomenal. And like I said, it was advertised to fuck. And I like Ridley's shooting style. I like how he brings out Florence and. Certain iconic scenes and stuff like the brain one as well. It's just I freaking love it. But yeah, I can't deny that's my favourite. So obviously that was the end of the character. But a year later, we had got the official prequel, which was Red Dragon. John, is this your favourite one?
No, I did like Hannibal.
Yeah.
I liked all three. I like Red Dragon because it sort of like sets up Hannibal Lecter as a character because you see him in the films. He's been caught in a sense, but in this one, it's like you
was how he was caught.
Yeah, and so I've always got a thing for films like that, like origin stories and stuff. I kind of like them things. So I won't say that I like it better than the other two. I just liked all three.
As a prequel, though, you think it's pretty good?
I thought it was pretty good. I think it's like we were saying about Hannibal. I think in Silence of the Lambs you get to see Hannibal Lecter, and like you're being told he's this dangerous person and he's done all these things and blah blah blah. I think then in Hannibal you kind of actually see him as this sadistic, dangerous, very very calculated person, and I kind of like that. When I was in Red Dragon, again he's this guy. He's committed all these murders. They don't gloss over any of them until he gets caught, and then they say, "Oh, this guy's murdered 13 people or something." But they don't tell you any of that bit. I think that's where, because I haven't seen Hannibal Rising, so I don't know if that's in Hannibal Rising, because I know he wrote the book and I never read the book.
Hannibal Rising, it takes him back to when he's young, isn't it?
Yeah. It's how he becomes a cannibal.
Yeah. So maybe there's.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's stick with Red Dragon for now. So obviously,
I liked Will Graham's character.
But let's just talk about. Before we do the actual movie, as the actor himself, Anthony Hopkins, obviously he's getting older. Yeah. But this is the prequel. How did it affect you as much that he was still an old man trying to be younger in this at all?
They gave him a natty ponytail.
Yeah. I didn't like that. Slicked his hair back, didn't they? And whatnot. Yeah,
I didn't like the ponytail, but I got why they did it, because they're trying to make him young.
That's just a symptom of the time it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I do. But like we were saying about.
But this movie's kind of going back to the territory of Silence of the Lambs, using that killer to find another killer.
Yeah.
Did you think this was kind of a bit repetitive?
Yeah, a little bit.
Out of that. Again, I've not read the book, so I don't know if it's faithful to the book, but
no, it is quite faithful to the book.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but then that is kind of like how they would do it. That if you've got a serial killer who kills in a certain way and you've already had one that's done it and he's in prison, you would try to get information from that, because he would probably have some kind of an insight into that. I think, so I get why they would do that.
It is a bit of a retelling, isn't it?
It's a little bit, yeah.
But I think where this is good is it's a different dynamic, because it's the guy who beats Hannibal, who captured him.
So Clarice isn't obviously in this one, is she? This is the story of
Will Graham.
Will Graham, which was the agent who captured him. So let's go.
He was a hotshot, again, another hotshot FBI agent. Yeah. And this is where I was saying to John, I do, it's a good film, but I prefer the Hannibal TV series in this one.
Yeah, I prefer the TV series.
Because they do this time period, and these characters, but I just think they do it a bit better. So I would recommend anyone watch Hannibal the TV series with Mads Mikkelsen in as Hannibal, because this does all this.
I really want to watch all
does
three of them.
Does the FBI handler Jack as well in it. He's played by Lawrence Fishburne. It's got Will Graham, but Will Graham's done differently. He's not an FBI agent. No. He's like a consultant that is being used because he has the ability to think and put himself in, which is done in Red Dragon. Will Graham is able to imagine what it's like.
Yeah, he's able to imagine the mind of
the killer, which is why Hannibal has this connection with him. Yeah, because he's been going at the beginning of the film. He's been going to Hannibal as a psychologist, asking his advice, and Hannibal has been helping him out with cases. Yeah.
He doesn't think for 1 minute that Hannibal is the killer until a certain thing happens.
It very glosses over this, and again, the TV series does this in more detail, which is why I really like it, because he's trying to catch Hannibal, isn't he?
Yeah,
because there's an offhand comment where he's like, but this killer I've worked out, he's not just keeping organs for trophies. He's taking
he's eating
tongues, he's taking livers, he's taking all the stuff that you'd eat.
Yeah.
And then he's in Hannibal's office and he sees the book on gastronomy, cooking, and he sees a little annotated
penny drops.
He takes the book and he opens the book, and on one of the pages is all about these sweetbreads and stuff. And then it like that's when it clicks in his head. Shit! But of course, at the same time, you don't realise Hannibal Lecter's worked this out as well.
Yeah, so the opening of this scene of this movie was the scene you were talking about earlier.
He has a dinner date. A dinner party for the
and then says the
orchestra.
line, if he told you what was in it, you wouldn't eat it. The guests
but
go,
also,
and Will shows up, doesn't he?
And you hear how he's not. They're missing one particular.
Yeah, he didn't
musician.
show up. He didn't show up,
and it's not. They're like, it's not very a loss. He's
not a great loss.
Hannibal's heard, and he's off tune, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or he's slightly off, tempo or whatever, letting the whole thing down. So he's literally killed this guy because he was ruining the symphony.
Yeah.
And then he has a meal for them, and it's implied that he's feeding them.
Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah,
the musician that they're all missing. Yeah, and then
and then obviously the guests leave and Will shows up, isn't it? And that's where he triggers.
He's gone to Hannibal Lecter's home. And he's
for advice originally.
Yeah, and he's asking. He's like things like, I think that this and this might have happened. What are your opinions? And he's sort of like,
he's had the epiphany, hasn't he? Yeah. And Hannibal asked him, "Have you told anyone about this? About your theory about being eaten? Parts of them being eaten?" And he's like, "No, I haven't told anyone yet." And then,
but he goes to do something. Hannibal goes to do something.
He goes into
while he's out. Will Graham
gets a knife,
sees.
Yeah, he gets fucking stabbed. Big time.
Well,
Like, he proper gets stabbed.
So
but then doesn't he get shot and gets
so Hannibal comes back with a knife and stabs Will Graham.
That's right.
And he's like,
but it's the way they look at each other and they both know.
Yeah, that each other knows.
And you're like as an audience, you're looking into both sets of eyes and you're like, shit, they each know.
Yeah.
And as quick as anything, he just stabs him.
Yeah, but he like proper cuts into him and everything as well.
And then he says this. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's going to start getting black in a minute," and things like that. And he has this, because he knows.
Yeah. And then
he stabs him with he stabs him with a arrow first, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets the arrow.
The arrow, and then shoots him, and then like the last shot before the title comes up is Hannibal Lecter looking dead. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But somehow these blokes managed to survive a stabbing, a shooting, and another stabbing with an arrow.
And then starts going through all like the newspaper articles and the court case, and this well-established man turns out to be Hannibal Lecter. But there's
a news reporter as well who's snuck in and taken a picture.
But if there's one
who's a female in the TV version, Freddie Lowndes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, you're right.
Yeah, she's that redheaded female reporter.
But there's clippings, these newspaper clippings, and there's one clipping in particular, and it goes on about the court case and where it came out in the court case where he'd fed one of the symphony to the others, and it's like symphony impresario faints in the court case because she's realised I've eaten him, and it's quite funny that, but you read and you think fucking hell. But there's some.
But this movie's stacked for cast wise. You've got like Anthony Hopkins, Edward Norton is Will Graham, isn't he? Harvey Keitel, Ralph Fiennes is the Tooth Fairy. It's like this is a stacked cast in this movie.
He did a very good part.
Really good. But obviously, we go into the talk that there's a new killer on the loose, which is the Tooth Fairy. This is the one that
Jack comes to try and get Will back in because he's basically retired, isn't he?
Yes, he's left it after
doesn't want it anymore.
The victory,
fed up
capture.
Of putting himself in,
and he's basically
in the mine
because he's taking families, he's killing entire families. It's not just taking a person; he's killing the kids as well. So of course, Jack is using
stabbing their eyes out and putting glass in there,
and he's using that to try and get Will Graham to come back and help us catch this guy, sort of thing. And he's killed all his families and blah blah. So of course, Will, having a wife and child himself, that he's played on his heartstrings and gets into. And in the end, he agrees to
guilt tripped and
come back. He says, "I'll do this and this, and I'll help you." But that's it. But he ends up getting drawn into it because Hannibal is that kind of a character. He kind of draws you in. And
he obviously goes to the crime scene and reenacts certain things, doesn't he?
And he looks over
the photos. Yeah. He obviously finds out it's another ex-patient of Hannibal Lecter's.
Well, no, is it? No, because they were contacting. He's a fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Beg your pardon. Yes, he's a fan of
Hannibal
him.
Doesn't actually.
He's in touch with him. Not.
Well, they don't know that yet.
Of his,
Hannibal doesn't.
No.
Because they're trying to figure out how is he picking these people because they don't know each other and they're from different parts of the country. So they don't know. So of course, then, like you say, then he gets drawn back to Hannibal.
Basically,
because he kind of has to find
FBI
out
handler Jack says, "You should go to Hannibal. You've got a resource. You need to go and talk to Hannibal. We need to use any option we possibly can to stop more families from dying." So he says, "Go and talk to Hannibal and see if he's got any insight into it." So there's no link to start with that you're aware of.
Yeah.
And there's this whole thing about why didn't he go in the basement? He came equipped with bolt cutters. There was a sign carved in the tree because Willard worked out that he was sitting in the tree watching them.
Did one family have a dog and then the dog disappeared or something?
And how did he know there was a certain bolt on a certain door? All these little things.
And Hannibal keeps saying things. He's like, "I'll take the pictures," and I want to see videos. And he's like, "No, you're not watching the videos because that's gratuitous." Because he's watched the family videos, hasn't he? And it's like, he doesn't want to give Hannibal any.
Extra pleasure.
And this is what I find interesting is that why should Hannibal help the man who captured him?
But again, it's
because he sees Hannibal, he sees Will as almost an equal in a way because Will is got that killer mindset,
exactly,
put himself in there, so he almost sees him as coming close to him.
Yeah, like he did with Clarice in Silence of the Lambs.
Clarice is like an infatuation and almost like a love.
Yeah,
Will is more of a I can almost see this guy as a being like me. It's only because he's on the good side.
Yeah.
And he can imagine that
it
he's
might not take
killers.
much to tip him into the bad
potentially,
side,
yeah.
thing,
and that again is done a lot better in the TV series.
And that's the game he wants to play. It's like, can I get this guy? Would I be able to tip this guy over, sort of thing? He wants to see how close to the edge he can push him. It's a game to him, basically.
He wants to see if he can destroy the guy who caught him as well, kind of thing.
And of course, Chilton's in it.
Yep.
Yes, I'm saying a lot of cast from the Silence of the Lambs are back. Even some of the staff that looked after him. Barney, that's it. Who's been in all of them as well.
He's in it. And of course, Chilton's bugging in the room.
I forgot we've got Philip Seymour Hoffman as the reporter as well.
Freddie Downs.
That's it. Which he ends up fucking.
Oh man, that's bad. What he does.
It's brutal what he does to him. Does he? Is it because he susses him out? I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, no.
He calls him names on his articles, doesn't he?
No, that's
but that's Jack. Hang on, wait.
Jack and Will. So basically, there's this killer that's going around. Will's, Hannibal's telling him it's right before your face. The answers are in the pictures and all this sort of stuff. And there's a lovely scene where he's talking to him on that yard where he's walking around chained to the ceiling. Do you remember?
Yes.
In like a
hall.
Yeah. This is the one time I'm allowed to. You're going to have to.
I guess 10 minutes or something, isn't it?
He's a half an hour walk activity, isn't it?
Chained to a track on the ceiling, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so, but
it's like at one point he's just to get to the point, Will. Because he knows he's.
They've done. There's this whole scene where they basically find out that Hannibal had a letter or something.
Yes.
And he'd torn out a section of it and then hidden the rest of the letter.
In the toilet roll, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the toilet roll. Mm-hmm. Somebody had found it. And they get the science guy to work out, don't they? Like
they had to fake a way of getting it out of his
room. They find it and Hannibal's, it's on a cell search, so they've got like half an hour or whatever while the cell's being searched or whatever. and they give it to the tech guys who are like, well, these lines you can see here because I've put it under some sort of X-ray
UV
or whatever,
light,
UV light.
It is, yeah.
These could be T's, these could be D's or B's, you know. And they basically work out that it's a way that the Tooth Fairy, i.e. the Red Dragon, has been
contacting him
because he idolises Hannibal.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they try to work, so they try to buy more time to analyse and work out what's going on.
Mm.
So they concoct this plan where the janitor's going to pretend that the lecturers that he's got out, and they make him...
He's wearing the iconic mask at the time, but this isn't isn't he?
In like a padded, tiny little padded cell.
He says to make sure the janitor walks past
with
saying, this goddamn place, I'm always having to fix things and make it look like he's annoyed. And all.
So it's quite a good plan.
And it fails because he sees the gloves in his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a retard. Doesn't put the glove always down in his pocket.
He sees the gloves in the pocket.
And anyway, they work out basically that Hannibal is they've been contacting each other in the classified ads.
That's right.
Yes, that's it.
So what is it? It's what's the name it's addressed to? It's addressed to a particular name, is it?
Yeah, I can't remember what the name is.
Pilgrim? Is it
Pilgrim? Yes, there is something about Pilgrim in it.
So and it's like, you know, and they reckon that whatever is in that torn out section because it's a code.
It's a
code
for
coded,
a book.
isn't it?
It's coded and it's a book.
It's a book.
So
it's
the
a
book
certain
is the
book,
key.
certain page, certain chapter, certain words, certain
unless you
letters.
have the book, you can't really work out what it is because the code.
It's quite clever if you think about it.
I'm sure I've talked about that with someone.
You must like it.
I think I might have talked about it.
But then was it Will Graham basically says, well, it could be any bloody book.
No,
someone else says that could be any book. And then Will goes, hang on, didn't they take photos of his cell because they had to put everything back exactly? So then he realized, so it must be one of the books that he's got. Mm. So that was quite clever how they worked that one out.
One of the and throughout all this, you've been seeing the Tooth Fairy, Ralph Fiennes,
cutting out the...
He works in somewhere that's dealing... He's trying to... There's this blind lady, isn't there?
He's a cleaner for a video...
He's a manager. Like an engineer. He's an engineer or something.
He's high up.
I thought he was a cleaner.
No, because he has access to all the tapes and everything. Because when they go to him, they say, well...
we'll talk about it why he isn't at the end, and Anyway, so he's working in this company, and this woman's using infrared or something because she's blind, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right.
So she can't see him.
No,
because they've been speculating about who this is and whether he's disfigured, and it turns out he's got a cleft lip.
Isn't it? Yes, that's right.
And also you start to see about him living in a big house. He's got some problem with his mother who was like talking about chopping his penis off because he wet the bed and things like this.
Filthy little beast.
Yeah, and so there's all that in the background and you're seeing this poor blind woman who sort of fancies him because she's like, all the women talk about you and how strong you are and they ask me...
He's pretty built in this movie as well.
He's weightlifting, isn't he?
That's right, yes.
Because again...
fucking shot when he's weightlifting with the mask on.
Because he is trying to train himself. Again, it's transformation. He's trying to become powerful. He believes that he's transforming into the Red Dragon, which is a painting, isn't it?
From William Blake, isn't it?
Which he's sort of doing a study on for, reasons.
Yes.
So you've got all this in the sideline. Back to what's happening. They found out that Will's found out that they're contacting each other. Fan contacting, Hannibal Lecter. And Hannibal Lecter's trying to get information, isn't he? Like where Will lives, and he phones his lawyer, doesn't he? At one point.
That was such a clever bit.
He phones someone, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm trying to fax something over, and I need to know for
he
his
puts an
book
accent on, doesn't he?
And he basically he sweet talks the woman into giving a PO box.
Just turn that little Rolodex there.
It's right in front of him.
So clever.
So he basically now has got the information of
Will's home address.
Well, no, he doesn't have the home address.
He has a PO box.
He has a PO, which in turn will give him at least the area.
Yeah,
which is very, very clever how they've done it.
Because
it's just G for Graham. Just another little. Yeah, I'm sure. He's so clever. How
snidey
he's
fucker,
done
isn't he?
Because they're trying to I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, they're trying to get this all back to his cell ready, and because they know the press is going to run the classified ads, and it'll have a message to Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
you know, and they don't know what it's going to be or whatever.
No, but they say to don't put anything in it. Let him reply.
Yeah,
because we need him to reply.
Yeah,
so that we can home in, sort of thing. Yeah.
And then at some point they basically use Freddie Lowndes.
Yeah.
They set him up in a way.
They're trying to bait. They're trying to bait the Tooth Fairy.
Because now they know that it's this book and this page and this
goes
letter.
Horribly wrong for him.
They realise that if we get him to say that that he's this.
Well, they're trying to bait him, aren't they? They're trying to bring him out because they're saying
he's a homosexual, interferes with his character, all this anything to basically put him down,
to get him aggravated.
He's
isn't
the Tooth Fairy. He's a little gay,
little gay guy,
troubled gay guy. And this is not what he's trying to be. He hates the name Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, he doesn't like it at all.
And he talks to Hannibal about how Hannibal shouldn't be called Hannibal the Cannibal. It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
So because he's trying to create himself into the powerful red dragon, and he doesn't like the tooth. So, they're trying to bait him out, and then he ends up going and catching
Freddie Lowndes,
doesn't he? And it goes really badly wrong.
Really badly for him.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to explain?
He does the whole thing where he super glues him to the wooden chair he's on, isn't it?
Just his underpants on.
Look at me, no, I don't want to look. And then this is when he reveals the red dragon tattoo, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, two other people, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the way he
flexes
he flexes it out, and he feels like he is a different person when he does it, isn't he? And he's like, you'll look at me when I do this, otherwise I'll cut your eyelids out or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And makes it out like he's the presence of it makes it feel like he's a god, isn't it? And how Philip Seymour Hoffman's that's transforming
into the powerful red dragon.
That's it. And how Philip Seymour Hoffman looks at him, he's like, oh my god. Yeah. And in the very next shot, he's on fire going
in a wheelchair.
in that exact same chair going down a hill in a main street. And it's like, fucking barbecued him.
It cuts to this bloke on the side of the street, and at first I was thinking...
And it's all quiet, isn't it? You just see it go down.
Who is this guy? And then you hear this...
And
he looks and you just see this...
Right, he gets fucked.
Rolling. But where does he end up?
It's at the base of the
Tatler building where he
worked. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because he's a reporter, isn't he?
Right. Yes, that's
he
it.
literally just
because he's doing newspapers. The guy, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was the reporter.
No. The guy who sees him is taking out newspaper thingy.
Which has got the message to the red dragon.
Yeah.
Which is where Hannibal's giving him the information.
Best to give him your home address.
Yeah. So they have to evacuate, don't
they? They evacuate, don't they?
There's a tense scene where you're like not sure whether the family are going to get evacuated in time.
That's right, yeah.
That was so clever.
Because Will's not with them at the moment either, is he? Yeah.
He's elsewhere trying to catch him, and they send, as a race to get the family into protective custody.
Protective custody, isn't it?
Which they managed to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that is such a clever part. The fact that he put
and then they take everything from Hannibal, don't they?
Yeah,
they clear out all his books.
All
his as a punishment kind of thing, don't they?
Again, Chilton.
Yeah, as a punishment.
Yeah.
I can't remember what happens afterwards.
Well,
no, doesn't it? It goes back to the blind woman being at his house again, isn't it? And he has the mum issues again, isn't it?
She sleeps with him.
Yeah,
that's right. Yes, she does. Yes,
she finally gets him to like.
Oh. Isn't it that creepy scene where she's sleeping with him, but he's watching the family video at the same time?
Yeah, she's gone down on him.
That's it.
She's
that's
like,
and he's like, he's watching family videos because he's like for the next victim anyway.
Because he's planning his next.
That's it.
And he's got this weird thing, and then she wakes up, and there's this whole thing where he's like, no, because he's talking, he's got this.
It's very psycho, isn't it?
He's possessed by the red dragon. Is like another entity that he only hears, and she's like, no, you can't have her. She's nice.
She's nice. And there's a point where he's going to shoot himself, isn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't want to give her over.
No, this is it.
You can't have her. He goes.
She's
nice.
Yeah,
and then nice.
Yeah, she's walked out, and he thinks she's found out, doesn't he?
Yeah. She's walking around the fountain.
She's walking around the fountain. He thinks she's trying to escape because she's, found out somehow about him.
But she hadn't.
But it's not the case, is it?
That's not the case. So he then bins all contact with her, and she's like feeling really let down because she thought they'd had a thing, and he's like ditched her. And then she ends up getting a lift home with that other guy that was hitting on her in the office.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
The other creep.
Yeah, the other creep.
What is it with blokes and blind women? It's like, is it just an easy prey or something?
Just creeps. I think that there's a lot of creepy men in this who try to push themselves on these films, isn't there? But anyway, he just shoots him with a silencer, doesn't he?
Oh, fuck
yeah!
So
he just walks
quick.
up and shoots him.
I didn't expect that.
And then he abducts her.
Dead.
Yes, that's right.
The blind woman.
Yes.
From
Doesn't
her
the house
house
get set on fire or something?
No, he then takes her back to his house.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the house I'm talking about. Yeah.
And he then reveals that he's transforming into the Red Dragon.
Yeah.
And there's this whole big scene where you're like, he's like, no, I don't want to kill her, and he sets the place on fire.
He has a
This is his final sort of transformation. He's destroying his own life. There's a picture of his mum who, was abusive, sort of burning and things like that. And then you hear he puts because he's going to shoot her, isn't it? And she's flying.
Yeah.
And then he lets her touch the shotgun, and he says, "This is such a 12 gauge shotgun.
Yeah.
Well, if I
12
shoot
gauge
you with
Magnum.
this, yep." And of course, you just like you say, you hear this.
You don't see the blood splatters on her, don't you? So you think, okay, he shot himself.
And then she's blind, so she's feeling her way with it all on fire. She puts her hand in an exploded head
in the bloody
on the floor,
yeah.
and she's like, ah! And then she somehow, again, a little bit of
all you see is a pair of feet out the other side of the chair.
Will Graham goes to that house.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. Do they find out?
He's figured out somehow. I can't remember.
Anyway, long story short, he goes there.
He's racing to the house because he's figured out
that he's there.
Oh, while that was going on, they had gone to the company.
Oh yes,
and
that's what triggers
him.
They
were saying we need a list of your employees, and the guy's going, I can't give you the list of employees.
Yeah, because he's worked out the guy has been in the house. He's not just watched from outside.
He's looking at the videotapes.
He saw the locked door. Yeah. And what it is he was a technician who was going in to sort out people's video calls.
He was transferring the videotapes onto the VHS from the little tapes to the VHS tapes.
So that's why he's been in the house.
So he's been watching the video. So that's how he knew. And the guy, the manager, won't give him the list, and he says, "Right, well, I'm telling you that he's such and such an age. He looks like this.
Facial disfigurement.
He would,
He's like, oh, you mean him?
Exactly. Yeah. And they go, oh, Francis Dolarhyde. He goes, yeah. So then they get the name,
and then he's obviously sees this. Yeah, that's what prompts him to go and shoot the guy, kidnap the blind woman, take her to the house. We have the devolution where he transforms into the Red Dragon, whatever, and then shoots himself.
Yeah, and then sets the house on fire.
Will turns up to a flaming inferno. A little bit of a leap of faith, but somehow the blind woman's managed to get out of a completely surrounded fire. I don't know. Maybe she just
and the house fucking explodes.
Maybe she tucks and rolls and jump through it. I don't know. Anyway, stop, drop, and roll. She comes out, and she somehow his scrapbook. As the Red Dragon survived. Oh, we missed the scene. He went and ate the picture.
The actual Red Dragon picture.
He was consuming.
He goes to the
embody
bank,
it's a museum, I think.
Yes,
it was. There's been some thesis on it.
But it's in a like.
And he locks himself in the room and eats it, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he's physically taking on. Yeah, he's giving in and becoming the Red Dragon. He's consumed the original.
That's right. Yeah.
Again, eating, not Hannibal.
Yes. Yeah.
Link there. And anyway, so that all happens in order, and we've got it a little bit mixed up.
But anyway, regardless, now, at the moment we think Tooth Fairy's dead.
The Tooth Fairy's dead. She's like, I put my hand in him.
Yeah. How do you know he's dead? I put my hand in his head. He blew his head off with a shotgun.
And then the house dramatically explodes.
Yeah.
It's quite a good shot when it blows up.
What an explosion.
That is a good explosion.
Was a big explosion, yeah.
Happy ending. Will goes home to his family.
Yeah.
And they're having a nice little...
Well,
they're having a nice little barbecue and a fire pit or whatever in their little private jetty on the beach.
Yeah.
The wife's inside.
The little boy goes inside, doesn't he?
Oh, no, it's the boy, the wife stays there. He goes because he's been a long time. And then, oh, shit.
They get a phone call, don't they?
Yeah.
He gets a phone call to say that...
Not yet.
Well, he goes back inside the house, doesn't he? And he sees the smashed mirror.
That's right, yeah.
Which is a signature of the
Tooth Fairy, wasn't it?
Tooth Fairy, yeah. And he's like,
hang on a minute.
Shit. Yeah. And then he gets a phone call and it's like, we've identified the remains.
Those bones weren't him.
They weren't him. They were the guy he shot in the street.
In the street, yeah.
And he just shot that guy's head off and then made a escape.
Yeah. And then he goes in the house and sees he's got his son, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's got like a bit of
glass
mirror to his neck or his face or something, isn't it?
Which was again his signature, stabbing out the eyes.
He wants
them
to see him, doesn't he? Yeah.
Well, he wants the reflection of himself as the Red Dragon in their eyes, as they are seeing him as. That's why he was stabbing him up. But Will's read his little notebook, his little scrapbook of serial killer.
And realises how his mother treated him.
And he does a Hannibal here, and he realises the only way he's going to get him to release his kid, he gets in his head, and he knows exactly how to push his buttons.
Yeah.
And if you remember what he does, is he starts talking to his son, doesn't he?
Yeah, because his son's wet himself,
because he's terrified, and the guy's got a shard of glass to his throat. Yeah. And so he looks at his son and he's like, "You filthy little beast! You've wet yourself. I'm going to cut it off. How dare you?"
Which is exactly how his mother spoke.
You hear me? I called you a dirty little beast.
And he's basically
it's triggering the Tooth Fairy, isn't it?
The Tooth Fairy so bad because that's how his mother. And it's so clever because he's worked out. He's put himself in the mind of the killer. He's got the information. He knows. So then he goes for Will, the Tooth Fairy, doesn't he?
That's right.
Releases the child. They have a fight. He gets into
shoots him.
Gets into the bedroom.
Again,
he does get stabbed, but he gets into the bedroom, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's going for his gun, and he's trying to smash his way through the door.
But he doesn't. He's expecting him to come in, like you say, come in the door, and he's going to shoot him. But then
the wife comes back. Yeah,
I reckon it's because the wife.
It's such a great scene because it's very tension building, and this scene. He's so good.
Looking under the door.
Yeah,
he's on the floor looking under the door, and then you see him.
His wife come up the stairs.
And you think,
that's right. Yeah, it's such a good shot.
She's like, "Well,"
it's like, "Get down, bang, bang, bang."
Yeah.
And then he turns and starts shooting back through the door.
That's right.
Both exchange.
Oh, they get this. He gets shot, and yes, that's it. Yeah.
So it's like trade shots, don't they?
Yeah, and
I love that scene.
Yeah. And then she comes and smashes her way into the door, finds him bleeding, shot.
Yeah,
and then he sits up one more time, doesn't he?
And she
shoots him in the face, doesn't she? The head.
Right.
Killer always comes back for one last scare.
Yeah. And then he's got more scars, but it turns out he survived, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got one little Lecter cameo at the very end, isn't it?
Very end, yeah.
Where he's lost everything, hasn't he? And Chilton's like...
But I just love what Chilton says to him as he walks away.
Oh, what? Someone...
He goes,
by the way, someone's here to see you.
I've turned her away. Turned her away. I've said you won't talk to her.
Yeah. And a young lady, I think she's with the FBI.
Called Clarice Starling. No, he says a young woman called Clarice Starling.
No, he doesn't. No, he says a young woman from the FBI. Yeah. And then he goes and turns, what is her name? Yeah. Then it cuts.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, because it's Clarice.
Yeah.
So Clifton never says, it's
because Will's made the break. He got what he needed from Hannibal, and Hannibal lost out on this because Hannibal told the Tooth Fairy where his family were, so he was going to win, and he got one over because his family survived and Will survived.
That's it. So now he's going to move on to new prey of his and. Which goes into
he
bested,
bested Hannibal, didn't he? Will in this one.
Yeah.
So he got it over. And
that was why I watched it in that order. I watched Red Dragon first because of what he says at the very end, where this young lady, I think she's from the FBI, and I thought, okay.
The thing is, this trilogy is very much like Star Wars, isn't it? It's like, how do you watch it?
Yeah.
What way do you want to watch it? I mean,
I liked how I watched it because it flows better, I think.
Yeah,
I know. I get why obviously they made it the way they made it because. Obviously, you do Silence of the Lambs, and then you did Hannibal, and then you bring Red Dragon into it. But if you read them as books, it flows well as a book. So if you watch the films in that order, they flow quite well. Bit like the TV series, it flows really, really well. The TV series, obviously, different characters.
Well, no, they're the same characters.
No, I mean different actors and stuff. But it's the way they portray. I liked that as well.
Before we finish, I cannot recommend Hannibal. I've talked about it. In other episodes.
The TV series, yes. I was going to ask you guys about it.
I want to watch that.
You need to watch it. It's 3 series. Like I say, the cast in it are so good. Yeah. You see...
And it's on Netflix at the moment, so...
Yeah, they all gel so well.
And you see they've done things slightly differently, but it's a lot more of a TV series. So you've got different killers popping up. I think the Shrike, what's his name? He's mentioned in one of the films, because I'd seen if you watch the TV series, right in the first episode, one of the killers they're trying to catch is the Minnesota Shrike. The guy,
I can't remember. It might be
it's the guy who's impaling women on antlers.
Yes. I know about, but I can't remember.
But anyway, in one of the movies,
he's alluded to, isn't he? Yeah.
They say his name, and it's mentioned in a throwaway line. And I was like, I've seen that. That's so good in the TV series.
Cool. Nice little nod.
There are so many, and it's expanded. So if you like the characters, and you, like I say, I do actually prefer the Will Graham from the TV series because there's a much more of a better dynamic where he's not FBI, he's not a hotshot FBI person.
Yeah,
they just use him. So it's that kind of relationship where Jack wants to catch the killers for public good, but he knows doing this is putting mental strain on Will because Will is on that fine line between knowing so well how to be a killer and being a killer. Yeah. And all while this is happening, Jack gets Hannibal to be his psychiatrist.
Yeah.
To protect him, to make sure that he doesn't get pushed too far. And what's happening in that? Hannibal's manipulating the whole situation to protect himself. So I cannot recommend, if you like the characters and you want a bit more and you want to explore it in the format of a TV series where you've got more episodes, you've got loads more killers and things like that, watch the Hannibal TV series. So good. One of my favourite TV series.
Yeah, it is really good. I think we've mentioned it a few times on the podcast before, but yeah. There's no excuse, guys. It's on Netflix. If you got it, watch it. Highly recommend it. I was going to mention Hannibal Rising. Have any of you watched it?
I have seen it.
You have seen it?
I've seen it.
So that is the only one I've read the book of. And for me, it is actually the most faithful to it. It literally is the book on film. But then again, Tom Harris did actually do the script for the movie. Yeah. So I didn't mind it. It's nothing amazing, but it's okay.
His origin, really, isn't it?
It's when how he's
in Eastern Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And there's a little hint of Japan in there as well, isn't there? Or he gets together with the Japanese woman or something like that. And also we've got, before there ever was Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, and Hannibal, we had Manhunter from 1986.
Yeah. I love that film.
Which was directed by Michael Mann, and Hannibal Lecter was played by Brian Cox.
Yeah.
For anyone who watches Succession,
William Peterson was the thingy, wasn't he?
Very intriguing version of Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
I do prefer Anthony, of course, but this version of him is quite...
But you can see where Anthony Hopkins got some of... Because he kind of... I mean, him and Brian Cox, at various points, Hannibal looks very much the same.
Yeah, he's got the slick back hair and the same sort of suit, whatnot. But
very clever.
There are moments where Anthony Hopkins sort of snaps at Clarice, whatnot. Where this one, he's very calm, very cool, and very like
Hopkins.
Dave said about manipulating everything. Like, he knows what he's doing and how he does it, and that's what I liked about Brian Cox's version of Hannibal Lecter.
It was a good film. Again, it didn't get the credit it deserved, but it's a cult film now. But at the time, it was like, nah, it's not that great. But it was good. If it ever comes on Amazon or Netflix, give it a go. Again, if you're into your Hannibal stuff, I totally recommend it. I do think that Anthony Hopkins, really made Hannibal Lecter the scary creature.
Oh, by far, 100%. Yeah, it wouldn't be iconic now if it wasn't for Anthony Hopkins, and it's probably his most iconic role he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really think of anything else.
He's done a lot of things. Obviously,
he's done a lot of things, but when you think of Anthony Hopkins, that's the first character you think of at the end of the day, isn't it? So
and he may not want to be thought of like that. But,
no, of course not.
But unfortunately, that's how it kind of goes.
That's how he got his first Oscar as well. So
that character is stuck with him now.
This is it.
But that does happen if you're an actor sometimes, doesn't it?
It's like getting typecast.
Daniel Radcliffe is always going to be Harry Potter.
Oh, of course he is, yeah. no matter what film he's in. Oh, look, Harry Potter's in that. I mean, it's true, isn't it? You're not even going to call him Daniel Radcliffe. It's Harry Potter.
It's just Harry Potter. But no, thanks for that, guys. I enjoyed that.
Oh, right, man. I enjoyed
nice memory lane. Yeah.
You know I always enjoy.
I need to watch Red Dragon again now. It's the one I've seen the least, but I think I might watch it after this.
Didn't you watch it in preparation?
I did watch it in preparation, but I want to watch it again now. Yeah. There's moments in it I forgot about.
I'm going to go and watch the TV series.
That's so much.
Yeah, I might restart.
I'm going to do the last hour of Hannibal because I wasn't able to watch it today. But then
you did well though.
Well, but I am going to watch. I am going to rewatch the TV show because I really did enjoy that.
I need it's been a while since I watched it.
Same for me. I haven't watched it since it was last on. Well, when it was first out, if you know what I mean. So it's a while back now. And I was kind of disappointed that they didn't carry it on, because I do think that maybe they could have put a bit more to it.
Well, no, they got to Hannibal. They covered right up to him escaping to Florence. So
yeah, I know, but I would have liked to have seen a bit. I think by the time you've seen 3 seasons of it, you're like, oh, go on, just do a 4th, you know. But they didn't. So
I'm sure Mads would take it up any day.
I think he probably would. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll leave it there then, guys. Nice. Thanks for doing that.
Oh, right,
I really enjoyed that. And hopefully we'll see you for next week for the next episode. Yeah. So we'll end it there, guys. Guys, if you like what you listen to, follow us on Facebook at the M.T.V.B Podcast, or on Instagram at M.T.V.B Podcast, or on TikTok at M.T.V Podcast 197. I'm your host, Anthony, followed by...
Dave.
And JK47.
Guys, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Enjoy.